Everybody, welcome back to another Market Open. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 8:47 a.m. We are back once again after a long weekend, back to discussing everything in the world of the stock market. We are here. It has been an exciting couple of days, quite frankly, even though the markets have been closed. We got a lot of news we have to cover this morning. Two biggest headlines. Elon Musk raised $6 billion yesterday in a Series B $18 billion pre-money valuation for his newest company. A lot of implications on that, especially for Tesla. And you got Nvidia that's up another 2% in the pre-market. It hit 1,100 last night. Absolutely incredible stuff. So we got a lot to talk about in regards to Nvidia, Tesla, the macro, Bitcoin. Some really interesting stuff happened with Bitcoin last night. I'm actually surprised Bitcoin's holding up as well as it's doing because you wouldn't think it is. But right now, Bitcoin up a little bit. 0.5% in the pre-markets. How's everyone doing? Hope you guys had a good someone said I guess Amit doesn't care about the open anymore because I was 1 minute late. I'm sorry. I hope you guys had a good Memorial Day weekend. I pretty much did nothing. I just stayed at home, relaxed. I don't really do like barbecues or anything like that. So nothing too crazy. Just stayed at home, enjoyed the break, got a lot of work done. I tried watching this movie called Ocean 11 yesterday. Couldn't get through it. Not saying it's a bad movie. I just couldn't get through it. I'm still going to finish it up. I got through like the first 15 minutes. And so I'm going to try to finish the rest of it. But I was looking for like a good like Wall Street gambling movie yesterday. And I know Ocean's 11 is not really like Wall Street. But at least I tried to watch it. I will finish it because I know George Clooney, Brad Pitt. I know it's a good one. I just got to give myself some more time to get through the movie and I will get through it. But thank you all for being here. Hope you guys had a good weekend, and we got to go back to analyzing the broader markets. Let me know what you guys did over the weekend. We had a bunch of people saying gardening with dad. I love it. You guys relaxed. Barbecues. Very, very cool. Fun stuff. Nolan, good morning. Raphael, good morning. Jason, good morning. Watches 15 minutes of a movie. No wonder Amit watches movies. I don't know, dude. I'm a YouTube junkie, I guess. Like I need 15-minute videos and that's it. You know, but it's so weird. I'll watch an hour-long podcast, but I won't watch like a 2-hour-long movie. It's so weird, dude. And a podcast is literally people talking, right? So it's not really that exciting compared to a movie. But yeah, I need to get through the movies. All right, so let's get into the market open and start discussing what we got to get into. I think we'll start off with this first piece of news with Tesla and Elon Musk, and then we'll keep going from there. Also, I have a new portfolio that came out from George Soros that I want to talk about. We didn't discuss the changes he made last quarter, but it's some pretty big changes. Elon Musk raises $6 billion in XAI, his newest company, from some of the best venture capitalists on the planet: Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, Fidelity, Prince Al Walid bin Talal. The Saudis essentially put some money into this. In the press release, XAI has made significant strides over the past year, from the announcement of the company in July 2023 for the release of the Grok 1 on X in November, the recent announcements of the improved Grok 1.5, yada, yada, basically saying, hey, we're going to take this money and we're going to be able to do even more with everything that we have to do in the context of building, their AI supercluster. I'm kind of mixed on this. So I think there's a couple things. Number one, I do think it is a good thing for them to be raising this money. And I think Elon's definitely going to be able to use this money in a particular way to help Tesla. My sort of go-to thesis here, as soon as I heard this news yesterday, is XAI is going to spend probably 4 out of that 6 billion on Nvidia H100s. They're going to build hundreds and thousands of these H100s into the supercomputer Elon wants to build. And that's essentially going to allow them to build one of the best models out there from a large language perspective. So LLMs, you got Gemini, you got GPT, you got Claude. All these LLMs essentially are becoming commoditized, and the best ones are going to win. A lot of them are becoming open source like Llama. So it seems like Elon is creating XAI as a hedge against OpenAI having a monopoly on the models. Now, OpenAI already has a pseudo monopoly, given that they were, first to the market. They had first mover advantage, and their models are just better than everybody else. I mean, I've used Gemini, I've used GPT. I still use Gemini for like more real-time information, but GPT is just way better than everything else. The question here becomes, what are the implications for Tesla shareholders, right? Because I think that's the stuff that I think we all really care about. So I said yesterday, I think Grok easily gets incorporated into Tesla, the Grok 5, Grok 6, whatever it may be. And it would be a useful car LLM. So you could literally tell your car, hey, Tesla, open up the trunk, or open up the frunk in the case of Tesla, right? They have the front trunk. Or, hey, Tesla, play the song. Or, something that allows you to talk to your car in a way that creates a useful mechanism to be able to interact via a large language model and your voice into the car itself. I also think that if they build up Grok via Tesla's via Twitter's data, which now XAI incorporates into Twitter, then you've got an LLM that can be reasoned upon, trained on real-time data, act as if it's a human. What's the thing you need an LLM to do if it's a human? Potentially be a humanoid robotic. And so Optimus gets very exciting in terms of what Grok does as it's incorporated as the front-facing LLM for consumers for Optimus. So I think there's a variety of use cases that we could see with Tesla and Grok. The question becomes to shareholders that were relatively mixed on the news yesterday. Tesla right here down 1% in the pre-markets. And one of the reasons they were mixed is because a lot of people felt that Elon again is creating another a company. I was going to say country, might as well be country, that distracts him from the overall goal of Tesla. And I don't see it that way. I genuinely think that XAI is going to have some type of purpose for Tesla. What is that purpose right now? Don't really know. I do think that purpose will have some type of meaningful benefit at the end of the day for Tesla. But the question becomes, what is it going to be? And so it is interesting that they choose to do this before the vote. You could argue that the compensation vote, they would have waited to raise this money after, so that the perception of him being distracted isn't there. But I guess Elon's pretty confident he's going to win the vote. And, to be honest, if he loses the vote and he does decide to leave, he's got a new company called XAI that, he's got well funded and ready to go. So I don't think he's leaving. I think it's going to end up being beneficial for him. But I think the number one reason why he decided to do this was to create a hedge against OpenAI. In fact, here's a small clip of Elon talking a while ago. I think we all saw this clip about a year ago, but this is him basically saying why he, or why OpenAI deserves, or why essentially he funded OpenAI, and how OpenAI ended up getting the backing that it needed. It was because of Elon Musk, and I think that's why he's starting XAI as well. This was him back a year ago, basically saying why OpenAI even exists.
OpenAI, you seem somewhat frustrated with them. You were one of the big contributors early on.
The reason I am the reason OpenAI exists.
How much money did you give them?
I'm not sure the exact number, but it's some number on the order of $50 million. Man, fate loves irony, next level. So I used to be close friends with Larry Page, and I would stay at his house, and we'd have these conversations long into the evening about AI, and I would be constantly urging him to be careful about the danger of AI, and he was really not concerned about the danger of AI and was quite cavalier about it, and at the time, Google, especially after their acquisition of DeepMind, had 3/4 of the world's AI talent. They had obviously a lot of computers and a lot of money, so it was a unipolar world for AI. And we've got a unipolar world, but the person who controls that does not, or at least did not seem to be concerned about AI safety. That sounded like a real problem. So.
And it seems like that's why he created XAI. So for a lot of the people is hedging back and saying, Elon, he's wasting shareholder capital, he's distracted, he's doing this and that. I think the guy genuinely believes that you can't trust Sam Altman, you can't trust Google. Larry Page ended up accusing Elon of being a speciesist, meaning that Elon cares too much about human beings. And that was Elon's last straw. He was like, you know what? We've got a population crisis. People are saying that you should not have babies anymore. Now the most powerful company in the world is saying I'm a speciesist. I need to create my own version of what AI looks like. He funded OpenAI. OpenAI went from nonprofit to profit. GPT is the best model that's out there, but I think Elon doesn't like that Sam Altman has the unilateral control of it, and XAI is a hedge against that. Now, will XAI be successful? I guess we will see. The point is they have unlimited amounts of funds. $6 billion in a Series B is unheard of, to raise that much money that quickly without really even having a product. Their only product is Grok, but Grok isn't that good. One thing I can say about Grok, and we'll end it off here and then we'll move on to one more piece of Tesla news, is that Grok has a lot more distribution than something like ChatGPT. Grok has 500 million active users on Twitter that they can just put in front of people tomorrow. Right now, I think you have to pay for premium to be able to use Grok on Twitter. But if they decide, hey, we just want to get a ton of usage on it, collect more data, they can make Grok available on every Twitter homepage. And they're incorporating it in terms of AI summaries on Twitter, which I'm starting to find a lot more useful as well. I mean, let me just show you my Twitter right here. Look at the right-hand side of my Twitter. So they have Explore and Beta, and you have 4 pieces of news that Twitter thinks I will click on. X, whatever you want to call it, that I will want to click, right? Tesla and Neo surge in China's EV race. That's interesting to me. I care about Tesla. Nvidia soars, GameStop surges, a market shakeup. So you can even tell that title was written by AI, right? It sounds like GPT written. But that's something I would click on. Apple's iPhone sales surge in China. That's definitely something we're going to talk about in a second. And then sushi debate. I guess that one's experimental. Hey, maybe Mick cares about sushi, but they're incorporating AI via the user-generated content. This is basically Grok, even though it's not an LLM, right? It's Twitter's AI version of sharing the news, and it's stuff I'm way more likely to click on, quite frankly, than anything in like the Explore tab on Twitter. And I think obviously YouTube's doing this with video recommendations. So there is a way for them to amass, millions and millions of pieces of tweets every second, use that into a functional LLM that then serves you the news that you want to see. So you keep coming back every day, and then you probably start using Grok, the LLM, a lot more to make it more part of your life. That is something that ChatGPT doesn't have access to. Like, I don't go to ChatGPT and get updates on the news, right? It's just a model that I ask questions to. And if Grok can get as good as GPT in terms of answering those questions, because right now I don't think anything's as good as GPT, and I'm already using Twitter every day, boom, you've got me as a user. So I think there's a lot of different ways they can make this happen. The question is, how fast can they go? Because GPT is getting ready to go to GPT-5, and if it gets that quick, then it might be hard for Elon to catch up. One more piece of Tesla news, and then we'll move on to Apple, because that's a big piece of news this morning. Tesla secured a $150 million Megapack contract for Australia's first Megapack battery. First 8-hour battery. So Tesla is going to supply the Megapack battery for 50 megawatts in the southwest New South Wales. This will be Australia's first 8-hour battery located next to RWE's existing 249 megawatt Limondale solar farm. And the Limondale battery project will start construction in the second half of 2024 with commissioning expected by late 2025. Now, look, $150 million is not, going to move the needle for a $500 billion company, but it continues to show the energy part of the business on Tesla, one could argue, is growing way faster than the car side of the business, and is obviously going to be beneficial if energy is what is needed to make AI become a thing. And if Tesla ends up becoming one of the core companies on the planet that supplies all that energy via reusable energy like Megapacks, that's going to be one thing that's very good for Apple at the end of the day. Or Tesla at the end of the day. Probably will be good for Apple as well. But that's the update we got on Tesla and XAI. I think it's good that they raised this money. Now it's just a question of how they're going to utilize that money. $6 billion in the bank. A lot of that's just going back to Nvidia. We'll talk about Nvidia in a bit. But that's what we got on Tesla. Now let's go to Apple. So this news this morning broke out, and it's quite incredible what we're seeing right now on Apple. Apple is almost touching $200 a share, which puts it well above that $3 trillion threshold in market cap because of China shipments jumping 52% in April. And so this was it's kind of funny. I mean, Dan Ives quite literally said that this was going to happen, right? On Friday, we looked at him on the market close, and he said, hey, our internal checks are showing us that Apple is going to revamp in China. As we can see right here, Apple smartphone shipments in China rose 52% in April from a year ago, extending a rebound seen in March, according to data from a research firm. The jump follows a weak performance by the U.S. tech giant in the world's biggest smartphone market earlier this year amid intensifying competition in the high-end smartphone category from local rivals such as Huawei. So you're looking at about 3.4 million units from 2.3 million a year ago in just the month of April. That's a 52% increase. And Dan Ives' bull case on Apple is that there's going to be a super cycle of upgrades that's coming in the next 18 months, which is going to create a $275 share price, adding about $1.5 trillion in market cap, because that super cycle mixed with the WWDC announcements around AI and their OpenAI partnership, whatever that may end up turning into, is going to catapult Apple back into one of the more stronger stocks that exists. I am still skeptical of Apple. I'm not betting against Apple. I don't think anyone should bet against Apple. And I think the stock, I don't think it's cheap, but it was in a range at 167, and it was probably bound to break out, especially after the buyback. I still feel the Vision Pro is a dud, and unless the OpenAI partnership results in something very material in regards to how Apple incorporates AI across their 2 billion devices. And there's a risk about giving Sam Altman 2 billion devices to have access to AI. I mean, like, I'm not saying I hate the guy, but I don't think a lot of people necessarily love the guy. You know, it's kind of like, all right, they're indifferent against Sam Altman. What is he going to do with all that power? I think there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to this OpenAI partnership. And I'm also just generally skeptical, and I would love to be proved wrong. What exactly is Apple going to come up with via their AI assistant, probably incorporated through Siri, that's going to force me to upgrade? Now, you could argue, yes, 270 million people haven't upgraded in the past 3 years, so there's going to upgrade cycle. That's coming. That's fine. But regardless of the upgrade cycle that's coming, I don't really care about that. I care about, is there something fundamental in that device that is worth upgrading versus just like upgrading for the hell of upgrading? And I don't know if that's going to be the case, and we'll see. But the April data starts to look promising in regards to what's happening in China for Apple. The question simply is, how promising is that going to be once they release a device that, in Apple's mind, forces people to want to upgrade because it's just going to be that good of a device? And we will see how that plays out. So that's what we have in the world of Apple. Sundown Sam, good morning. Thank you everybody for being here this morning. I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend and enjoyed the break. My mom and my sister, they work at a school, so they were at home. They, if you actually like work a corporate job, having that Monday off is like, it's a game changer for it's just like one of those things like, oh my God, I don't have to go to work. I remember even when we were in school, when I used to when I was in school as a kid, just having any day off, it's important. And what I will say is, as I've grown older, I've started to recognize the value of Memorial Day, just as an American citizen. I know if you're not in America, you probably aren't that familiar with Memorial Day, but it's different from Veterans Day. It's explicitly to recognize the people that we lost, fighting for our freedoms. It's not just for veterans. So for me, I put this out yesterday. The stock market is not open and I feel empty, but regardless of how I feel, because the stock market's closed, nothing compares to the feeling of people who actually lost loved ones. And the fact that I have the opportunity to analyze the US markets because we have the freedom for capitalism to exist in the markets is because people gave up their lives for this freedom. So Memorial Day is definitely becoming a bigger part of my life as I get older versus just like a day off from school, because you actually recognize people had to die for us to even have the freedoms that we have today. Cool. Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning to you as well. Okay, so that's what we had in the world of Apple. Let's move on from Apple and we'll stick on the theme of China. China got a deal this morning, or they announced a particular type of deal. So there's a couple things going on with China. First of all, number one, the US, China, Taiwan stuff. We have said that we are going to protect Taiwan a bit more than we've said before. So Representative Michael McCall, who chairs the Foreign House Affairs Committee, promised strong support of the beautiful island during his meeting with Taiwan's president. He condemned China's recent intimidating military exercises, saying they were evidence that China was not interested in taking Taiwan by peaceful means. The key is to make sure that Taiwan has the weapons necessary for deterrence so that when Xi's looking at that calculation, it doesn't look good for him. So last week, China decides they want to start punishing Taiwan with military exercises. And they want to send a statement to Taiwan saying, hey, you guys shouldn't even think about, doing anything that you really want to do or getting to the point where you're getting friendly with Western nations, et cetera, et cetera. And the U.S. says, you know what? The only way to get Xi Jinping to stop being this idiotic is to scare the shit out of him. This is why Alex Karp said we have to scare the living shit out of our adversaries. That's not a joke. Like, you actually have to scare these people to get them to not, want to invade your country. And especially if they don't even believe you have the sovereignty for a country to exist. And so it seems like the U.S. is going to ramp up their defense spending for Taiwan. Now, that is good news for a company like Palantir. And the reason that's good news is because Taiwan's not going to win on the actual weapons front, right? Like, Taiwan's going to win on a software advantage. Same thing with Ukraine. China has all the weapons in the world, and they have nuclear weapons. So it's not going to be a question of weapons. It's going to be a question of how is China able to tactically engage with Taiwan. And I think that's going to be a software question. So hopefully China doesn't choose to do that. But if they do choose to do that and choose to actually invade, I think Palantir is going to play a big role. And I think a lot of defense contractors are going to do well if that happens. Another piece of news on China, they launched a $47.5 billion fund to boost their chip industry. One of the reasons for this is because they don't like that Taiwan has placed itself as the most important island on the planet and country on the planet in regards to how important their chips are for the global U.S. supply chain. So the fund, China's largest ever semiconductor investment initiative, will focus on equipment for chip manufacturing. Major shareholders include state-owned banks and firms. The Ministry of Finance in China is the largest shareholder. This move aims to achieve self-sufficiency in semiconductors as the U.S. and its allies impose restrictions on China's ability to advance chips and chip making equipment. The other reason that China is doing this is because the U.S. banned Nvidia and AMD from selling the highest quality chips to China. They're still allowed to sell to China, but not the best version of their chips, and that made a dent in Nvidia's revenue. Nvidia is just so good that it really didn't make a difference, and AMD that actually showed up as a much bigger hole in the revenue. But China used to be 25% of the revenue for Nvidia, then it came down to like 1%, and Nvidia still beat on their earnings, and they're still guiding to beat. So that just shows you how much demand Nvidia has, but it also goes to show you that China needs to figure out how they can create their own Nvidia, their own AMD, and you're not going to be able to do that given how much intellectual property Nvidia and AMD have and the years of research, the decades of research they built developing those companies. But that's why they're starting a 50 billion chip fund to back their own nation's firms. Again, it's just hard to trust China. It's just very, 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 very hard to trust China. And one of the other reasons it's hard to trust China, and this is why, it's wild when people like Michael Burry continue to just buy the dip on Alibaba and JD, is because 2 weeks after he does that, right, he increased his position aggressively. We have military drills around Taiwan as punishment for having their new president. So it's really interesting what China's doing right now. They're raising $50 billion in a fund for semiconductors. Then they're doing these Taiwan drills. Then they're lowering the SSR requirements for current banks. They're raising $287 billion of liquidity 2 months ago to inject into their stock market. Real estate's collapsing. It's just so difficult to take a bet on Chinese equities and be like, yeah, they're going to be fine. And I think that's why some of them are struggling right now. Now, Alibaba's up for the year. It's definitely rebounded from that $50 range. Alibaba right now up slightly in the pre-market. But the question is, do investors have the appetite to continue giving love to Alibaba and some of these Chinese equities as it continues to, as we continue to get into a world that seems to be a little bit more divided than united, which has been, again, Karp's entire thesis on what's going on with China and the West. Now, earnings this week. Here are the companies that are reporting earnings. Today, before the market opened, we had a couple of banks and shippers report earnings. After today, we have Box. I think that's the biggest one. Oh, Kava as well. I've still never had Kava. I've got to go to the restaurant and actually try their food, but their stock is up a lot this year. Kava stock. Let me know if anyone's had Kava. Kava stock is up. We'll talk about the meme stocks in a second. 102% year to date. So, I mean, Kava's done very, very well. Is that 100% year to date justified? Not sure. Actually, I have to go through their financials to see if there's a moat there. But it's up, and just like Chipotle is up 35% year to date. Restaurants have done Texas Roadhouse relatively well this year. We've got Salesforce on Wednesday, C3 AI, UiPath, HP. We've got Abercrombie this week. Abercrombie's, just had an insane run in terms of their stock as well. Dick's Sporting Goods, bunch of different retailers, Nordstrom, Zscaler, some cybersecurity. We got Costco on Thursday. So we still have some big names this week. So far, a stat for you guys, S&P 500 earnings have beat 8% on average compared to what analysts expected, which is pretty damn good, right? The fact that S&P earnings are beating 8% on average compared to what the analysts are expecting, it shows that across every industry, semiconductors, financials, tech, etc., it's been pretty damn good. It's been pretty damn good. It's not been bad at all. And one of the reasons it's been good is because AI has been the secular trend that has allowed companies to have the momentum to keep going. Even companies that got sold off, like a Netflix. Netflix went from 640 to 540, literally dropped $100, about 25%, rebounded. And I think right now it's back at like 630. It's pretty damn incredible what's happened with a lot of these companies as they've continued to make momentum. And one of the reasons for that is because the market realized, you know what, this is kind of stupid. We probably shouldn't sell off these companies. We want to be long equities. The S&P 500, by the way, is at $37 billion of net inflows since January. There's now $530 billion, more than $500 billion just in the S&P 500. The QQQ is at about $300 billion, the NASDAQ. It's just incredible stuff. Money is flowing into the markets, and there's still $6 trillion on the sidelines. So when you look at it from all those perspectives, it's just like, oh my goodness, there is money. There is money that's ready to be down and to go into the markets. Okay, let's talk about the meme stocks. Let's talk about the meme stocks as well and discuss what's going on there. Jimmy Wax says Kava's great, very similar to Chipotle, only Mediterranean. as well. Yeah, it is a Mediterranean restaurant. I've never had it, but I've had friends who swear that it's like the best quote unquote fast food you can get. And so I've got to try it out and see if the hype is actually real about that as well. All right. So GameStop, why is GameStop up right now? 25%. GameStop completed a 45 million share offering at the market offering, an ATM offering. And this was on Friday. When they did this, they ended up raising $993 million. So GameStop raised $1 billion. $1 billion. It's a lot of fucking money. And so now they have $2 billion, or like 2.7, no, 2.3, something like 2.3. Let me get the exact number on the balance sheet from doing this. It's kind of hilarious, dude, because they technically diluted shareholders by dumping 45 million shares on the market. But those 45 million shares ended up getting eaten up very quickly. And as a result of that, I think they got like whatever 993 million is divided by 45 million, that much per share. It's about 1920 a share. And that allowed them to continue, building up their cash reserve. So GameStop right now has about cash and cash equivalents up to 2 billion or $5.70 a share. So it's $23 right now. You could basically say $6, let's call it even $6 is cash. The interest income that can yield if they threw all that cash into just like a 5% money market would give you $100 million. So it does seem very difficult for the company to go bankrupt. And it does seem like even though they have a high burn rate, they have enough quarters to survive, which means the question is, it's trading at 4 times cash, a little bit above 4 times cash. So the question is, why are you paying that 400% premium? And obviously the PE is 863. It was at 1700 2 weeks ago. So it has got sliced in half, but still one could argue 863 is a lot to be paying for GameStop. What is the moat you're paying for? And if Ryan Cohen can somehow come up with an argument that says, hey, here's our restructuring plan. Our market cap is 5.82 billion. We have 6 billion in cash. So essentially the market cap, and they're trading at cash, essentially. Maybe there's an argument for why you give them a premium on some of the reversals they're trying to do. I could see it definitely going higher. I wouldn't take the bet on that, but I think the meme traders would absolutely, AMC is up 5% right now as well, would absolutely find a narrative they can run with. Roaring Kitty's gone. He's out of the picture. He's not coming back, or it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. And as a result of that, if you've got a company trading at cash that just raised $1 billion, maybe there's some momentum that can happen with GameStop. Faraday Future is up 3.44% in the pre-markets as well. And then again, GameStop up 25%. Now, the other interesting thing about GameStop is that they've authorized Ryan Cohen, the CEO of GameStop, to spend $1 billion and do whatever he wants. This was disclosed about 5 months ago. Basically, they said, hey, instead of throwing $1 billion into money markets or treasury bonds, we are electing as the board of directors to give Ryan Cohen, who is the CEO of Berkshire, not Berkshire. I saw GIF Magic's comment about Berkshire, and is it Berkshire? He needs to turn it into a Berkshire. Exactly. He's the CEO of GameStop, the ability to do whatever he wants. So it's basically, imagine a board of directors giving the CEO $1 billion of the company's cash, which at the time was all of the company's cash, quite frankly. And they said, go wild with it. He could literally take that billion and throw it into like 0-day expiring options on any stock. And imagine, 3X's, 4X's, that billion is turns into 5, or he could put it into Bitcoin, right? He could do whatever the hell he wants. He's probably not going to do something super crazy with it. But the point is, management's basically saying, this is your company. You fix this mess. And here's $1 billion, go play with it. If you're Ryan Cohen and you actually think you have the guts to play in the markets and you don't want to just put $1 billion and get 5%, and one could argue Ryan Cohen, dude, he sold Chewy for $1.2 billion. Like, this guy's a smart guy. Maybe he could get 10, 20, 30% on that money in the markets. But at that point, he would turn into a money manager more than a CEO. Maybe that's actually the strategy that they used to grow. I personally think buying Bitcoin would be the ultimate move for GameStop. And the reason for that is because I think the crypto people would start thinking of GameStop as a Bitcoin proxy. The crypto people would start saying, oh, we need to support this movement, right? But they would find a way to pull it into their narrative. And then the actual apes, the people supporting GameStop, would be like, holy crap, if Bitcoin goes up, there's a catalyst here, right? It's not a MicroStrategy level of catalyst where, they're sitting on $8 billion of Bitcoin profits, but it's kind of like, well, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, we bought it at 70,000, we're up 30,000 a coin. Let's say they buy 150 coins or something like that. That's money on the balance sheet in paper profits that you could try to attach the tangible book value of the company and make an argument for why it should go higher. So I would honestly, just from a marketing perspective, take 250 million out of the 1 billion, throw it into GameStop or throw it into Bitcoin or even Ethereum, something like that gets people excited, and then do another at the money offering when it gets like $40 or $35 and raise another $1 billion. Like, I think there's a way they can do this, but they've got to keep people excited. And if they don't keep people excited, it's going to be hard for it to keep going up. Amidst equally trying to pump Hood. Well, honestly, GameStop would be good for Robinhood. I don't think it's the only catalyst for Robinhood. But yeah, if GameStop goes up, definitely good for Robinhood. I am not participating in the GameStop rally. I've always said Robinhood is the real play here. It's going to get all the benefits from GameStop. So I'm not getting into the GameStop rally. But if I was Ryan Cohen, that's what I would do to keep this thing afloat. Because now it looks like he has momentum after raising $1 billion, right? And so if he has momentum after raising $1 billion, the question is just, what do you do with that? And I think crypto is the answer. Get people excited and then get people coming. Apple right here, 192. Eventually GameStop will crash. The question is when, or can management totally pivot the company to the point where you can justify an 863 PE? We already know they're going to miss on earnings by 33%. They're going to do 882 million in revenue. Analysts were expecting 1.02 billion. That's down from 1.25 billion last year in this quarter. They don't do an earnings call, so they don't have to answer any questions. So obviously it's a crappy company with crappy financials that really doesn't care about shareholders. But if they can somehow pivot it, I think the apes will support them. And it'll make some type of a benefit at the end of the day. I don't think they should do $1 billion of meme coins. That would probably not be the best option. By the way, the meme coins yesterday have gone crazy. So now that we're on the topic of Bitcoin, let's talk about that right now. Last night, a ton of Bitcoin went off chain. So $9 billion of Bitcoin was removed from Mt. Gox wallets. Apparently, this is a blockchain or a brokerage I haven't heard of before. Mt. Gox, as per on-chain data. And if you saw some of what was happening last night, there was just a ton of Bitcoin that was coming off these exchanges, and it was quite interesting to see how that was playing out. So let me show you right here. This is one of the accounts that tracks all this. 32,000 Bitcoin transferred from Mt. Gox, 16,000 Bitcoin transferred from Mt. Gox, 14,000 Bitcoin transferred from Mt. Gox, 34,000 Bitcoin transferred from Mt. Gox. Apparently, a lot of this Bitcoin was just leaving the platform, and people are wondering, hey, are these some OG, whales from years ago that are holding on to their Bitcoin and now they're finally liquidating? And for a second, Bitcoin actually fell to the low 67,000 range last night as a result of that playing out. This is happening around like 11 p.m. Now Bitcoin at 68,204. Oh, wow. It actually fell to 66,000. Wow. Yeah. Well, actually, no. This is the candle rate. Yeah. 67,483. That's where it fell last night. Fell from 70,000. We did hit 70,000 yesterday. Short-lived. Fell all the way back down to 67. Now it's 68. So it's going to be interesting to see how the market interprets that. The ETFs have been swallowing up all of the Bitcoin that have been mined by the miners, and that has been very good news for Bitcoin. But seeing a lot of that selling last night was not really the most encouraging thing, especially because those were older wallets that were taking up. Mt. Gox is the FTX from back in the day. Yeah, I discovered Mt. Gox last night. It's a Bitcoin exchange that was based in Tokyo, and it launched in 2010. And at one point in 2014, it was handling over 70% of every single Bitcoin transaction, buying or selling across the entire world. So, I mean, it's definitely like an important exchange, but it's lost importance over the past few years. So seeing all those Bitcoin that were there from years ago start to get off the exchange, that was a bit, I mean, it was definitely, people were wondering why exactly was that happening. It's a defunct exchange. Yeah. And so maybe one of the reasons is that people are just taking it off Mt. Gox and putting it somewhere else. And hopefully that's just what's happening. But it did create a lot of volatility last night in the Bitcoin space. One other piece of news on Bitcoin is on Riot and Bitfarms. So this was interesting today. Bitfarms is up 10% right now after a report that it rejected a $2.30 share offer from Riot. So Riot, which is about $10 a share, one of the Bitcoin miners, they said, hey, Bitfarms, we're going to buy you at $2.30. Do you want the deal? Bitfarms says, no, we think we're more valuable than $2.30. Right now, Bitfarms is up 9% because the market's like, okay, so if Riot was willing to buy you at $2.30 and you guys rejected that, then you obviously think you're worth more than that. Maybe we should buy your stock, because if the management believes that they're worth more than that, that's the reason we should continue to have it go up. And so as Broccoli Bob says right there, they rejected a lowball offer. That's correct. They rejected a lowball offer. And that's one of the reasons why Bitfarm is up right now. Lang focuses, I was on the site when it stopped, LOL. Yeah, so Mt. Gox has been around for a very, very long time. Okay, Nvidia. Nvidia's doing really good as well. I mean, look, this is just absolutely incredible what we're seeing in the context of Nvidia. Nvidia right here is at $1,099 in the pre-market. It's up 3.3%. Likely going to get to 1,100 today unless people take some profits in the morning. I can't really explain why Nvidia continues to go higher other than people are now having FOMO. That's my best answer for it. Because Nvidia has gained the market cap of Goldman Sachs in like the past 48 hours, 24 hours, or a company that's a little bit smaller than Goldman Sachs. But you know, you're talking about another 80 to 150 billion dollars that were added in the past 24 hours, and it's getting kind of insane, right? So one should argue, well, wait a second, if it's getting this extreme, as you can see now, we're clearly above $1,100. Maybe this is getting a little silly, as Don Allen says in the chat. Maybe this is just too much too quick. And one can also say, well, the growth is not stopping. We know the growth is not stopping. The guidance was phenomenal. So it's like, why would it slow down? But is no one taking profits on Nvidia, right? Like you would think the rug's going to get pulled at some point. People are going to take profits. But it's also like, well, if people know this is a generational company that is just starting when it comes to accelerated computing and generative AI, like literally just starting, then although the growth is not going to be as amazing as it was over the past couple of quarters, it's definitely not stopping. And if it's not stopping, 1,100 after the split, $110, the option chain explodes, people want to start buying it. I don't know. I think people are FOMOing before the split and they want to get their 10 shares off of one share. And to see, could this go to 1,200 before? Yeah, it would add another 100 billion in market cap if that happens. If it goes to 1,200, no, it'd be more than that. Yeah, I think it'd be like 250 billion. It would be a lot. It would be a lot if that happens. And so I think that's the reason. I think it's FOMO. I think it's absolutely FOMO. If you have options on Nvidia, especially leaps, I mean, dude, and if you bought them anytime in January, February, or March, you are doing pretty damn well. You're doing pretty well. Okay, let's listen to one of the bears that's on the street. So this is Jason. He's been bearish since the S&P was at 4,400. Here's his perspective on why inflation is still an issue and why things are still not as good as they seem.
Now to take a deeper look at the markets and the Fed's rate path, Jason Trenner is here, chairman of Strategic Research Partners, a Baird company. What do you think? You think a hike is even possible here?
Well, the first thing I'd say is I'm kind of happy that Mr. Kashkari is keeping some mystery into this process, because I feel very strongly the Fed is saying too much and has said too much. I know there's a big interest in forward guidance, but when I started growing up in the business, it was like white smoke, black smoke type stuff.
Right.
And it was better, in my opinion. Forward guidance,
because they're wrong a lot of times and they have to backtrack?
Because in my opinion, I don't think they're. You said it more harshly than I would, but I would just say
it's hard to predict. Things change.
Of course,
and if you're telling everybody this is,
I don't think they know any better than anyone else. Really, they have a lot of. They have 400 PhDs there, and they're very bright. It's very model driven. But by the same token, I'm not sure. Forward guidance works when people have a lot of confidence that the Fed knows more than other people. Forward guidance works the other way when people are not so sure that they know what's going on. So
you just think he's trying to give you a head fake?
No, I think he's just trying to keep them honest, which is good, because I think, a lot of people have gotten the inflation thing wrong over the last couple of years, not the least of which is the Fed. And I think it shows some sort of humility on their part, which is good
right now.
My own opinion is I would do precisely what he's talking about, which is to keep rates exactly where they are. And I wouldn't try to call balls, and I would call balls and strikes. I wouldn't try to really anticipate what the data is going to be, because I think there are real. I think there's continue to be upward pressures on inflation, which are not going to go away anytime soon.
And so
I think he's wrong about that. I think he's dead wrong about that. I think oil's coming down. I think shelter's coming down. We're going to get PCE on Friday. And if that shows some continued weakness in inflation, dude, like the market's going to keep having momentum to run. So I'm curious what he thinks is the upward pressure on inflation that's not going away. Maybe it's not going to go away dramatically, but it will eventually go away. And as long as we see the trajectory to the downside, that's all the Fed really needs to give us a cut.
Oh, when you think about where we are come election time, dare I
Right.
say,
Yes.
in this year that we're,
Yeah.
what do you think it looks like? You think it's nothing? Just there's nothing happens in the year of 2024.
Well, having said all this, that's one person
Right.
on the FOMC. My own opinion is that the Fed wants to ease. I think they're likely going to ease. I think Jay Powell wants to ease. So I think it's likely that we'll get an easing in September. I'm not so sure that's going to be the right answer, is my own opinion, because I think there are structural reasons why inflation is going to stay higher longer. There is an enormous historical precedent that says that once you have one wave of inflation over 6%, you get a second wave. The chances are about 9 and 10 that happens. It's largely because of the way contracts are written and wages tend to lag. So I would try to tap the brakes a bit if I were the Fed. But who am I? I'm just a market guy, but I'm interested in the system, and I'd like to see
Why
them.
September at this
Yeah, I think let's let him finish, but then I'm going to say something.
point? Though?
Well, I think that
We've always said once you get to September, it actually gets harder to do this.
Yeah, it's true. The only thing I would say, Andrew, is that I'm not sure the data is going to improve enough between now and the next. I'm not sure. We have 2 more meetings, maybe 1 more meeting.
Right. They probably have to see at least 3 months of
data to get better for them to think about it. Then there's also the next meeting after that is the day after the election. So then you take politics completely out of it, which is probably.
So I think the one thing that he give him credit for is like he has a good historical backing for why inflation is not coming down. The problem is all these guys who have cared about history, Nvidia right here now, 1104. Wow. They've been wrong. Just like the people, I mean, remember we have talked about the guy who invented the thesis around the yield curve inverting, which causes a recession. He's been wrong. But I mean, we technically had a recession, right, in 2022, a technical recession. But but they've all been wrong. And I think my take has been the reason they've been wrong is because we had an anomaly in 2021 where we printed 40% of the world's M2 supply in 18 months. And then we had an anomaly where we raised interest rates the fastest in 40 months. I think all the historical checks on what should or should not happen in the economy as a result of interest rates, inverting yield curves, et cetera, they never had to deal with printing 40% of the world's money supply in 18 months and raising interest rates the fastest we've done in 40 years within 10 months. And as a result of that, you're going to get some weird shit that happens. And maybe that weird shit goes to the downside, maybe it goes to the upside. So far, we've seen it go to the upside, and AI has really helped in pushing it to the upside. But we've seen a consumer that's strong, jobs that are stable, and companies that have been able to execute. And if they don't execute, they don't get rewarded, which is what you want to see in the stock market. So we'll see what happens with the rate cut, but that is one bearish perspective that if inflation stays longer, it's going to be hard for, the market in general to continue to rally. All right, folks, we have 30 seconds. I know you guys missed it yesterday. I missed it. My life didn't feel complete without the market open, dude. Like it literally, like, I don't think I can ever stop doing this. I don't think, I think like no matter I don't know what will happen in my life, but like, we're going to have to do the market open forever, dude. Like I literally woke up and I was just like, I went outside and I just looked at the sky, It's like, so what do I do now? It's just like, so thank you all for being here. It means the absolute world to me. And it gives me a lot of joy and purpose every morning to continue to do this. I hope you guys keep enjoying it. It is 9:30 a.m. The stock market is once again open, baby. Wake your ass up. We are here once again in the market and it's open. Nvidia, $1,100 freaking dollars. Absolute insanity. $1,100 up 3.4%, $2.7 trillion market cap. It was at 2.2 trillion or something before earnings. Nvidia is up right now. $1,100. Bitfarms is up 6%. Bitcoin 68,000. GameStop 2262. They're up 19% on the day. Alibaba is down 0.5%. Tesla is down 2%. Also, some new EV tariffs are being imposed by the United States and China. That's not going to be the best news as well for Tesla, but that's down 2% on the day. Apple. Okay, Apple's giving up some of the pre-market gains that it had because Apple, for those that are just joining, they got shipments in China were up 50% year over year in the month of April. It was up at like 195. Now it's at 191. So people are kind of selling that news, not really buying it up there, but still green. On the day, Palantir 2114, nice to see, 0.5% on the day. S&P 500 530, Shopify 57, NVDL is up 7%. The 2x long Nvidia fund That one's done very well. Robinhood up 2% on the day, $20.98, $20.97 now on Robinhood, up 2.34%. So some momentum there on Robinhood. Elf Beauty 191. Elf was at 135 after earnings. It fell 10%. Now it's up about 20% since then. It's 191. Absolutely incredible for Elf. So we got some momentum there on Elf. Hims is up 2.5%, 1731. Pinduoduo, they had good earnings, up 1%. SoFi above $7. We're up 1.59%. We were stuck at 690 all of last week. Anthony Noto did buy about 30,000 shares at 691. Spent about $200,000. So we're at $7 right now on SoFi on the day. Coinbase 237. That's up right now. So we got Coinbase up a little bit. GameStop still up 18%. Faraday Futures up 5%. Apple 191. I think if Faraday Future is above $1 for like the next 4 or 5 days, it doesn't get delisted. So that's the catalyst right now for Faraday Future, and that's why we're seeing some momentum there. As Raj says, the casino is open. That is correct. The casino where we all hypothetically try to figure out cash flows for companies and operating margins is now open. Nvidia, $1,110. What is going on? Who is buying this shit at $1,100? I'm just curious. Who is buying this shit at $1,100? Put in the chat. Don't be afraid to put in the chat if you're one of the people that's doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just curious who's doing it. I'm not opposed to doing it. I'm just curious who the hell is buying this shit at all-time highs, dude. This is insane. People like, could you imagine if 1,100 becomes support and it goes to like 1,300 or something? And it just like stays there for a bit. Like, that would be 130 on the split. Insane. Just absolutely insane. Nvidia's buy one, get 9 free. That is correct. It's buy one, get 9 free. You got Snowflake. Oh man, I can't even hide it. I like when Snowflake goes down. I'm sorry. I can't even hide it. I can't hide it. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't fucking like Snowflake. I don't like it. I don't like it. I like when it goes down. I like seeing it bleed. Okay. I like it. I don't think Snowflake is worth anything, quite frankly. Okay, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, the Palantir in me does not like to see Snowflake go up because I just think Snowflake's selling a lot of bullshit. But as you can see, Palantir is going down as well. I think what's interesting about Snowflake and Palantir and the entire SaaS sector is as much as we think they're like kind of opposed to each other, they all kind of work in tandem. Look at this. ServiceNow is down. Adobe's down. Mongo's down. Atlassian is down. CRM is down. Snowflake's down. Datadog's down. Palantir is down. Twilio's down. Intuit's down. All the SaaS companies, besides CrowdStrike, which just somehow keeps going up. Oh, they got upgraded, I think, by JP Morgan today. So that's why they're up. I think JP Morgan says they're going to do 5 billion ARR by 2025. So in a year, which is just insane. All the SaaS companies work together. So as much as I don't, love Snowflake, if Snowflake goes down, Palantir goes down as well. So I think this is going to be a story over the next decade of these two going up together, unless Palantir just massively outgrows them, which right now is not the case. So they're going to have to work together. And again, I'm just being facetious here on Snowflake. I do think it is undervalued as a trade. And I think going back to 200 is very possible. Just as a long-term investment, it's not the most exciting thing to me. Celsius is crashing. Someone said Celsius is crashing 88. Wow. Why is Celsius down 7%? Holy crap. Where's Enphase? Enphase is, wow, Enphase 130. Oh my goodness. Oh my. We were talking about this on Finance Junkies yesterday. Shout out to Futbucker. He said he likes it at 125 and you got a nice 3% gain on the day. Wow. When's the last time we saw 130? Hold on. Let's go to the 5-year chart. Last time we saw 130, basically September. Yeah, August 18th. Or this range, basically August, September 2023. So it's basically been 8-9 months. 8-9 months. Enphase has been pregnant. And the pregnancy went down to 73. And now it looks like it's ready to give birth to 130, maybe even 140 if this thing keeps running. Wow. Enphase 129 on the day. So Enphase is up. That means SolarEdge should be up. Yep, SolarEdge 48, not up as much. FSLR should be up for solar. That one's up a little bit. Interesting. So these are up a little bit, but Enphase is the one that's really breaking out today. Also, I found out about an ETF yesterday from Futbucker called TAN, which is the Invest Solar ETF. It's like one of the larger, it has $1 billion in AUM for solar companies. And apparently it's called TAN because you can get a tan under the sun. Now, I don't know if I made up that name or if the guy who created the ETF actually came up with that name, but regardless, it's a genius name. Enphase right here holding $130. Absolutely incredible. The TAN ETF is up 1% as well. SMH, that ETF should be doing well. Yep, that one's up another 1%, and that's probably because of Nvidia. Okay, so let's go to the semis. AMD is up 1%. ASML is up It is up 1.74%. All the semis seem to. Taiwan is the only one that's down. TSM, Lam Research is down. ARM is up 1%. Marvell's up 1%. ON is up 0.8%. Intel's up 0.5%. SMCI up 2%. And then Nvidia, wow, is up 5%. Oh my goodness, dude. Holy crap, dude. This is insane. Solar is up because of Biden's recent energy initiative. I don't know if that's the case. I think the market's just trying to front run the rate cut. And Enphase bottomed on their earnings. I mean, we know Enphase bottomed on their earnings because of they increased the guidance, or they beat by like 20 million, and I think they kind of increased from last quarter, and they introduced microinverters in Finland, so the European expansion is going well. There's like a lot of tailwinds Enphase has, and the biggest one is rates coming down. The Biden energy initiative might be one of the tailwinds, but I think it's more so about rates coming down and the market getting ready to give a premium to some of these stocks again. And there you go. Enphase at 127. Dude, Enphase was at 105 like 3 weeks ago. So it's been a nice swing on Enphase. Not bad to see at all. Robinhood right now, $20.45. Okay, so Robinhood's gain at $20.99 that got beaten up by the market makers. So they took that one down to $20.44. GameStop is up still 14%. So GameStop is still up. Palantir now $20.78. Palantir getting beat up today, 1%. All the SaaS companies are taking a hit. And Snowflake now down 1.2%. Google is up. I think Mag 7 is doing well today. Yeah, all the Mag 7 outside of Microsoft and Tesla are doing well. Tesla 173, Microsoft 428. Google, Meta, Amazon, Nvidia. Nvidia still up 5%. Are crushing it today. Wow. Incredible. 2.79 trillion market cap for Nvidia, dude. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Okay, where's the Bitcoin stocks? How are they doing? Bitcoin stocks are up. CleanSpark's up 1.5. Marathon's down. MicroStrategy's down. Robinhood's down. Wow, Robinhood's taking a beating now. Coinbase taking a beating as well. And that's because Bitcoin fell below 68,000. So there you go. That also doesn't help those companies. Bitcoin's really been stuck, dude. It has not been able to break through 70 and establish it as support. And hopefully in the summer it's able to do that. But as of now, it's just constantly getting tossed around from 65 to 70. And that's making it harder for the algorithms that are attached to the Bitcoin proxies to get those companies to go and continue to go higher. CleanSpark 1784, even though a lot of people know those stocks are undervalued, like a Robinhood, like, you know, outside of Bitcoin, we still know it's undervalued, but it is pegged to crypto to an extent. And if Bitcoin crashes or it goes up, that helps Robinhood at the end of the day, even if it's not fundamental to its intrinsic value or to its like thesis, I guess. For the company. IREN is up a little bit. Hut 8 mining is up 1%, and Ethereum 3,800. Ethereum not dipping after the ETH ETFs likely have been approved. I mean, they've been approved, but now they're like officially going to be approved in the next coming weeks. So Ethereum still holding on to that 30% gain it got last week as well. So that's what we got in crypto. I thought Nvidia was supposed to push the whole market. Well, it did to an extent. I mean, the S&P 500 is up, dude. The S&P is up 530. And also the S&P maintaining 530, I think was what Nvidia needed to do more than anything. If Nvidia, fell to 7,800, S&P would not be at 530. We would be looking at probably 515, 510, right? It would be a nasty fall. One of the companies came out today, one of the Wall Street firms. Let me pull up their note. I think it was Goldman Sachs. It wasn't Goldman Sachs. It was RBC. So RBC said the S&P 500 could dip below 5,000 if inflation continues to stay higher and the 10-year treasury yield continues to stay above 5%. So right now they're saying the S&P 500 should trade at around 21.5x earnings by the end of 2024, which would place the index between 5,100 and 5,300. That would be an EPS of $237 per share. So the S&P would trade at $237 a share, put a 21.5 PE on that, then boom, you got 5,300, which is where we're at right now. Their argument is that the S&P would trade closer to a 20.8x PE, which would push the S&P 500 down to 49,000 or 4,900 to 5,100 if inflation stays, higher for longer or high for longer. So that could be one thing that could hurt the S&P. But the fact that Nvidia continued to maintain its momentum, Nvidia's about to hit 120. Nvidia's about to hit 1,120. The fact that Nvidia maintained the momentum is justifying the S&P's multiple right now as well. The QQQ, the NASDAQ is at 458, just below all-time highs, but still incredible on the QQQ. 52-week high is 460 on that. Wow, Nvidia's about to hit 1120, bro. What's up with Celsius? Oh yeah, well, we forgot to look at that. What's up with Celsius? Let me go on Twitter. Let's see what's going on with Celsius. Down 7% feels like a market type of event. What happened on Celsius? What happened? I don't see anything on Celsius. I don't see anything yet. Now, we talked last week that there was some news article that came out that Celsius is unhealthy for you. Surprise, surprise. But I mean, the stock still went. Dude, it's down 12%. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Are you delayed? I see Nvidia at 130. What? No way. You see Nvidia at 130? Is Webull delayed? Hold on. Oh, let me go to Robinhood. Is Webull delayed on Nvidia? Holy crap. There's no way, dude. You see Nvidia at 130. Is Webull down? No. Yeah, your thing's messed up. And your thing's definitely messed up. It's Nvidia is definitely 1117, not 11130. Oh, sorry, I meant 1030. No, still, I think yours is wrong. I'm looking at Robinhood and it seems the same price as Webull. That would be crazy if it went to 1030, which it could potentially happen today. Okay, so what is going on with Celsius? What is going on with Celsius? Bad Driver says, Amit made me buy Nvidia. Now I'm up 1700. When did I make you buy Nvidia? Did I just like talk nicely about Nvidia 3 months ago and you bought it? That's crazy, dude. That's insane. Absolutely incredible on Nvidia. GameStop up 13%, S&P at 530. Okay, we have to figure out this Celsius mystery, dude. How is this thing down 13%? What is going on? I'm looking at Twitter. I don't see anything on Twitter. Celsius. Yeah, literally there's nothing, dude. There's no news. I see nothing. Celsius stock. Breaking news. Caffeine, spiked sugar, water is bad for you. Yeah, there's nothing. There's literally no news. It feels like a whale must have dumped their shares or something. Usually on Twitter you would find something. I find absolutely nothing. I'm finding articles from 3 weeks ago that are talking about Celsius. That's weird, dude. That's weird. That is very weird. All right, well, Celsius is down. We'll try to figure out more about that. That's down 11%. S&P 530, Robinhood, $20.51. Now it is flat on the day. Enphase 129, incredible price action by Enphase. SMH 247. Palantir down about 1% again. All SaaS companies are taking a little bit of a beating today. I guess money's just rotating out of those into some of these other names. HIMS is up 5%. Oh, PayPal. There's some news on PayPal. PayPal showing a little bit of signs of life today. So PayPal is planning an ad business using data on its millions of shoppers. We kind of already knew they were doing that, so I don't know why this is like front page news, but this is something that the market was thinking about today. Wall Street Journal said the payment company is hiring Uber's former head of advertising to lead a new ad division in the company. I mean, look, maybe that helps PayPal. I don't think that's really the solution to some of their problems. In fact, I don't think there's that many problems in PayPal. I think it's undervalued. So I think it really is a question of just the market eventually catching on to the undervaluation here. But it looks like they are trying to create some new initiatives to help PayPal as well. There's a video on X saying Celsius is made with poop. You know, Celsius is probably made with not literal poop, but stuff that amounts to poop in regards to all the caffeine and sugar and all that stuff. Dude, I've told you guys, I've never liked the actual taste of Celsius. I always thought it was absolutely disgusting. But for some reason, these gym influencer girls, they can't get enough of it. And maybe it's because they put crack in it. Okay, maybe they actually put crack in this drink. Maybe that, and maybe the market's finally realizing there's fucking crack in Celsius. And now it's down 12%. No, in all honesty, the growth is incredible. The Pepsi agreement got remended a couple weeks ago, but that's not a reason it should be down. I'm curious why it's down 11%, because regardless if I think it's disgusting or not, people are still going to drink it. So if there's a legitimate health issue, which I doubt, because Red Bull and Monster have been around for 30 years, I can't imagine Celsius is that much worse than Red Bull and Monster. So it seems like a weird dip, but I'm very curious what the reason is for that dip. Short Celsius. I wouldn't short Celsius, dude. The growth is still too incredible. Celsius is short is hard to imagine. I also don't think the valuation. I mean, people argue the valuation is crazy. It's 1/3 of Monster, and Monster is doing way more in sales than them. Monster right now, Monster's also down about 1%, 54 billion. Celsius is 20 billion. Celsius is almost half of Monster, dude. And Celsius is not as, it's growing faster than Monster, but it's not doing as much revenue as Monster. but you're paying a premium for growth. And if you want to pay a premium for growth, then I guess that's the bull case. The time to buy Celsius to me was at like $50, not at 83. I think it's hard to justify a ton of risk reward on Celsius right now. Google at 176, Rocket Labs at $4.40, and Shopify continuing to struggle now at $56. SoFi back below $7 at $6.97 on SoFi. Verizon as well below $40 now at $39.61 on Verizon. Is this a buying opportunity? See, I mean, why is it down 11%? We got to figure out why the hell it's down. Like, if it's giving you like, you know, the worst disease imaginable, then no, it's not a buying opportunity. But if it's down for some stupid reason, then maybe it is. But it's so weird. You would think when a stock falls 11%, there's like everyone talking about something that happened. And I don't see anything. I still don't see anything on Twitter. I see nothing. I just see people saying they're buying the dip, but no one's explaining why it's down that much. Yeah, it's still down. Amid, if the Nvidia chips will be extremely good and efficient and cheap some years in the future, will this benefit or hinder Palantir? Nvidia is a tailwind for Palantir. Remember, the reason companies are buying Nvidia or GPUs or you know, they're licensing chips, whatever they need to do from Nvidia, is because they're training models, and those models means that they're incorporating AI into some capacity in their enterprise. Palantir is the glue that makes that AI make sense. That's the AIP product, and that's Foundry and Ontology. So Nvidia is a tailwind for Palantir. It's just a question of if Palantir can capitalize on the sales approach they need to be able to benefit off of all the upwards momentum in AI. But it's not a bad thing for Palantir. Now, if Nvidia tries to get into the software SaaS business, like maybe that's a competition, but I don't think Nvidia cares that much about that. They care about making GPUs, and the more GPUs they make, the better it is ultimately for the entire industry when it comes to AI. DraftKings. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. So this is another one I forgot to talk about. So DraftKings is down on something very interesting, dude. DraftKings is down 11%. And the reason why DraftKings is down is because the state of Illinois, which is which Chicago is in that city, for those not from the United States. They approved a progressive sports betting tax hike this morning. And they did that. And as a result of that, let me just read from this right here. The new tax structure would impose a 40% tax rate on operators with the highest adjusted gross revenue for sports betting companies. FanDuel is affected. DraftKings is affected. And the bill now returns to the House for reapproval. It will become effective on July 1st if it ends up happening. If signed into law, Illinois will be the first state with a fully progressive sports betting tax rate. It's worth noting that New Jersey is also proposing the same tax, which would make gaming revenue double from 13% tax to a 26% tax in the state of New Jersey. That's where I live. So it doesn't look good for the gambling companies, because it's like the United States, at least certain companies or certain states, allowed online betting and gambling to be like a real thing, but now they're taxing the crap out of them. And it's just like, if you're DraftKings, your EBITDA estimates have to be re-rated from the street if you're paying an extra 15% in taxes off all the winnings that you get. Oh, Celsius did a shelf offering. There you go on Celsius. So that's the news on DraftKings. That's why DraftKings is down. I think that's a stupid reason for. I think it's a stupid thing to put those taxes on these companies, especially because the sports betting market is so unique. It's so new. You want that to expand. Like, let it grow into a multi-$100 billion market, and then you can tax it. But they're taxing it in the early stages of innovation. It absolutely makes no sense to me. But that's what we're getting right now on DraftKings and regulation. Okay, so Celsius had a shelf offering. That is not a good thing. Why is Celsius raising money, dude? Why do they need to do that? Why is that happening? Okay, so let's try to get some Celsius shelf offering. Why are they doing this? What is going on here? Celsius, today's what, May 28th? Let's see. I'm trying to get the exact news on this one, guys. Why does Celsius need money? Are they thinking they're so overvalued that they're going to take advantage? Are they going to pull a GameStop where they're going to raise money with an at-the-market offering because they know that they're overvalued? Why raise capital if they're profitable? Well, maybe they think that this is the time to take some off the table and raise some money. I can't find the exact news, but yes, they did do a shelf offering, and I'm trying to figure out how much money. So it's a mixed shelf offering. There's a little bit of a difference. They're not literally diluting. They're giving them the potential to dilute. It's kind of what CleanSpark did in October. So like a mixed shelf offering means it's literally on the shelf and they don't have to do it, but they can. I don't see the actual press release though right now. I'm still trying to look for it. Damn, that sucks for Celsius though. That's not a good thing. I mean, if I was a shareholder, I'd be upset at this right now. That is so weird, dude. Why are they doing? They're profitable. They don't need to be doing that. You could argue. Yeah, I can't find the actual press release, guys, but it's definitely happening, and that's not a good thing for Celsius. Okay, so we'll get back to Celsius. Now it's down 14%. Yeah, now the market figured out. It's almost down 15%, dude. Now the market figured out what the hell Celsius is doing. Robin at $20.45. GameStop still up 15%. S&P 500 529. Enphase still holding 130, baby. Enphase still holding $130. Palantir $20.89. Tesla $175. Rocket Lab at 4.4. Hershey's is down. Cacao prices are starting to go up. By the way, I found out yesterday, orange juice is trading at the highest level it's been in like a decade. So a lot of commodities are tending to go higher, and it's a little weird. Why? I mean, there's a bunch of reasons for how it's playing out. Someone actually from Florida had a really good take on why this is happening in regards to the actual trees in Florida, because orange juice is primarily produced in Florida, or oranges are produced in Florida. But look at that. It's trading at the highest levels. I mean, if we bought some damn orange juice, we would have been up even more than some stocks this year. So orange juice is up this year as well. Bitcoin Man says only noob investors thinking creating more shares is bad. It's not that it's bad, but it is dilutive, right? And that's not necessarily the best thing that shareholders want to see. Like CleanSpark doing it made a lot of sense because CleanSpark needs to raise money and capital because they're a capital intensive business. So like, I think it makes sense there. GameStop definitely needed to take advantage of like the meme stock rally, and they took advantage of it. They raised $1 billion. Celsius is a much more sophisticated company, and you could argue that, you know, they're actually growing, so they don't need to dilute shareholders. It also signals, hey, does management think their stock is so overvalued that this is when, you know, there's enough liquidity for them to do an offering, and even if they fall 20%, they still think they're cheap, or they still think they're, you know, priced appropriately at $80, given the stock was at like $40 5-6 months ago. I don't know. It gives a little bit of an insight on how management is thinking about it. Kind of like buybacks, right? When management buys back a stock, I think they're cheap. When you do an offering, do you think you're a bit overpriced? And maybe that's what's happening right now. Maybe Celsius wants to buy Bitcoin. Oh boy. All right. So Celsius at 81. Enphase still at 130. Oranges are not produced. They grow. That is correct. Oranges grow in on trees. They're not actually produced. SoFi late to the show. If old news already, Noto purchased another 28,000 shares. Yes, Noto did purchase shares. Unfortunately, that's not giving the market a ton of excitement. SoFi still above $7 right now. He purchased at $6.91, so nice to see it above 7, up 1.31%. Look, it's good. He's buying. It goes to show that management definitely thinks they're undervalued. The question is just when the market's going to agree with them on their undervaluation. And we'll see in the coming months what happens with SoFi. But SoFi right now at 1.2% on the day. S&P 500 is now red. So market's turning a little red. Where is Nvidia? Nvidia's still up 5%, dude. Nvidia's selling off a little bit from that 11.19 range, but still it's up 5%. It's just insane that people are continuing to buy. Okay, couple things besides Nvidia that I want to show you guys here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about a couple other headlines. So a few things that I tweeted yesterday that I want to show you guys. So a couple of defense-based ETFs, some of the ETFs you might not have heard of before. You can bookmark this tweet. I'll put it in the chat if you want to save this one. But here are defense-based ETFs I looked at yesterday. And a majority of these ETFs own pretty much every defense company like Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed, L3 Harris, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, etc. But they don't own Palantir. So one of the thoughts I had yesterday was that one catalyst for Palantir could be, everyone's talking about the S&P 500, but one of the catalysts could be when the defense ETFs start buying Palantir and making them a top 10 holding. Palantir is now a top 10 holding in the ARK ETF. I found that out over the weekend as well, which is good to see that Palantir is in the top 10 of ARK. There's a lot of interesting things in ARK, as you can see right here: Roblox, Tesla, Roku, Coinbase, Robinhood, UiPath, CRISPR, Zoom, and Block. I don't agree with all of them, but Palantir is number 10 at 3.11% in the ETF. If it enters the top 10 ETFs of a lot of the defense funds, I think that's going to be really good for Palantir. On top of that, this is Gary Black's future fund. I looked at this over the weekend. This is up 15% year to date. There is a 3.75% expense ratio on it. So to be up 15% and to have the management fee that Gary Black has, one could argue is overpaying a little bit for his fund, but that is one of the things that I want to show in terms of his fund. And then George Soros, I thought this was really interesting. This guy, who is Stan Druckenmiller's mentor, Google is his number one holding, 1.5 million shares. Rivian was the largest ad of his quarter. We were looking at this on Finance Junkies last night. The Rivian spread for December 2026, you buy the $20 call, sell the $22.5 call on top of it. That's trading for 28 cents. If Rivian goes to $22.5 by December 2026, that's a 9x on Rivian. So I haven't established a position yet, but I'm looking deeply at Rivian. I'm trying to figure out, does it make any sense? George Soros buying it doesn't give me the best confidence, but it was the largest ad of the quarter. Maybe he thinks, look, trading at cash for Rivian is stupid and it'll get back to $20. It was at $20, by the way, in January. So that's an asymmetric opportunity that doesn't come along often. And I'll keep you guys updated if I add to that position or if I initiate a position. But it's one of the things that I am looking at. Rivian right now, $10. He also added 36,000 shares of DoorDash, added 74,000 shares of Nike, and he added 290,000 shares of the regional banking index KRE, something similar that Stanley Druckenmiller added as well in regards to his portfolio with KRE as well. So we are seeing a bunch of people get into the regional banks, get into small caps, and take chances on some of the stocks that have been beaten up, like a Rivian. Rivian now $10.48, up 0.38%. The biggest problem I have with Rivian is that they're trading at cash, but they're burning cash. They only have cash left for another like 8 quarters. So, I mean, in 2 years, if they're going to need to do some type of dilution or offering or raise soon, because they're definitely not decreasing their expenses. Their OpEx is almost the same as Tesla, and they're producing way less cars than Tesla and delivering way less cars than Tesla. So it looks like a busted story. But the question is it cheap? And that's what I'm still trying to figure out to see if there's any valuation here in Rivian or any momentum in Rivian. But that's what we got on Rivian. JFR Brooklyn says, Weird Noda thinks the shares are undervalued enough to keep buying, yet they won't do anything to rein in their shares outstanding that is weighing the stock down. Snail pace at the tech side. Yeah, I look, the one thing with SoFi is they do have like 1 billion shares outstanding. I don't think they have enough money to do a share buyback or to justify a share buyback right now. I mean, you probably could justify it if you think you're that undervalued, but I think they don't want to be that aggressive because they're in growth mode, and you don't want to see a company doing buybacks when they're in growth mode. Like someone said, Robinhood should do a $600 million buyback. And if they did, which would only be about 16% of their total cash, that would be equivalent to Apple doing a $100 billion buyback if you just look at the market caps and the percentage and proportionality of it. And I don't think that's a good idea. Because although buying back your stock, would be great for shareholders, and I think that would push the stock up, I think Robinhood should take that $600 million and invest it in getting more users. So when you're in growth mode, like a Robinhood or SoFi should be in, I don't think a buyback makes the most sense. Same thing with Palantir. I'd rather take Palantir, take $1 billion and put it into more boot camps, grow customer count. Palantir $20.84 right now, versus buy back your stock, even if you have a lot of shares outstanding. Vitaly says, I'm looking at calls, not 23 cents. You got to do the spread, Vitaly. You got to do the spread. Let me do the spread right now in front of everybody. You got to do the spread on Rivian. Dude, it looks fucking cheap, bro. It looks stupid. Like, okay, so this is the spread. If we do trade options. So we're going to go all the way to 3 years from now, 934 days. We're going to buy the 20. We're going to sell the 22.5. Okay, so the bid and the ask is horrible on this, right? So this is how I got the Robinhood spreads cheap. So this bid and ask is disgusting. The bid is negative 15 cents. The ask is $1. Like, it makes no sense, right? But if you're going to buy leaps, and particularly spread leaps, 3 years into the future, the market doesn't know how to price this shit. The market has no idea how to price this shit, right? Because it's 3 years from now. But that's where the opportunity is, because if you have the insight to think, okay, Rivian's going to be $22.50 in 3 years, then you can pay a price that's, ridiculously cheap. And if you're right, you deserve a cheap price. So right now, the bid and the ask is constantly changing. If I put in an order, let's just put in a random order, I don't know, for 35 cents. So that's his low fill. If we do 40, doesn't get to medium, 45. Okay, that goes to medium. So let's just pull it in. Let's just see what happens. Submit. That actually got filled. Wow, it got filled. 45 cents. So now what's the math on this? The math is the spread is $2.50, right? 22.5 minus 20. So 2.5 divided by, I paid 45 cents. That is a 555% return, right? 2.5 divided by 45 cents. Now, I think you can get this sucker at 22 cents because a week ago, I was looking at it at 22. I just didn't buy it. So at 22, 2.5 divided by, let's just call it 0.25. That's a 10x if we get it at 25 cents a spread. So right now, look how the bid just went to 25 cents. Like, let's put it in order for, it's not going to go to the level I wanted to, but let's see. So let's put it in for, let me refresh it. Let me fix it. If we're going to put it in for 25 cents, it's probably not going to get there. But the point is, if it fills, and it fills stupid cheap, this is what happened with Robinhood, dude, back in December. Like, it becomes very, very attractive. So we buy the 20, sell the 22.5. So I'm going to put in an order for 25 cents and I'll let you guys know. So you see how the bid's 25 cents? The ask is not there, but if the ask gets lower, which the ask will get lower eventually, dude, it's a 3-year spread. No, the market makers have no idea what the fuck to do with this. You could argue that it'll eventually get there. Okay, so it's placed. I'll let you guys know if it fills, but I think that's, so now if Rivian even gets to fucking, let's say Rivian gets to $15, right? Instead of $22, and it gets to $15 in the next, 7 months, that spread's going to be up 100 to 200%. So it's, now one thing you have to worry about is who's going to buy it from you, right? When it goes up that much. But the point is, once a stock starts moving, I saw this with the Robinhood, right? I remember buying the contracts on Robinhood. You're only making $250. Yeah, but it's $250 divided by your entry price, remember. So there's a cap on the spread, but if you get in at 25 cents, you're paying $25, you make $250. It's 1,000% return, right? So that's good. I remember buying the Robinhood spreads in December. I was bidding with myself, dude. No one else was bidding. Like, I was just submitting orders and they kept getting filled because the market didn't know what to do with it. So they're like, all right, Amit, here's some more, here's some more, here's some more, here's some more. And I just kept buying these contracts. And I was literally, like, I wasn't fighting with anyone. I was just like, the market was like, okay, here's what we think it's worth in 2 years. Here's what you're willing to pay. No one else is really, all right, so here's the options. And then Robinhood jumps 100%, and now everyone's figured out, and they're like, oh, and then you have liquidity, right? Because then you can sell because people are willing to buy it. Because now, $20 by 2026 for Robinhood doesn't sound crazy, but at $8 it sounded crazy. So same thing with Rivian. That my mentality is, all right, the biggest problem here is does Rivian sound crazy to go to $22.5 by 2026? And I don't know. Robinhood didn't sound crazy to me because of the due diligence I did. I have not done enough due diligence on Rivian to know if a double in 3 years, which would be, basically $20, is crazy. And if it is crazy, then, maybe this is a stupid idea. If it's not crazy, maybe this is a really big asymmetric opportunity. And so that's what we got to think about when it comes to Nvidia, or not Nvidia, to Rivian. I'd rather buy a deep in the money leap. One of the things I hate about the in the money leaps, dude, is like, and I've had this experience as buying like long call options. When the market goes south, nothing protects you. The beauty of the spread, and again, Chris has talked about it many times, is when you sell the call on top of buying the call, yes, it caps your profits. But dude, do you need more than a 10x? Do you need more than a 5x or a 3x? Like, if your profits are capped at a potential gain of 300, 400%, like, there's no need to be greedy. And the odds of your naked call going up 1 trillion X is very low, right? So why would you not get some premium from selling the call on top of buying the call and reduce the upfront debit you have to pay, and also be protected when the market goes down, because the premium you got from selling the call protects the spread from getting obliterated versus just buying an overall leap. So that's why I like the spread so much, and that's why I think it makes sense. I'm just trying to figure out, does Rivian, can this sucker get to $20, dude, or am I dead wrong on Rivian? And that's why I don't have a position, right? Like, I've been thinking about it for the past couple of weeks. But if Rivian starts running, that spread's not going to be fucking 25 cents anymore. If this goes to $12, $13, that spread's going to be close to $1. And not $1, probably like 80 cents, 90 cents. We'll see. Maybe there's some momentum there. What about leaps in Archer? I don't like Archer, dude. Archer is promising like this. It's promising like this Archer's up 0.3%. The Archer's promising this like Uber of the skies. I don't know if I buy it, dude. I don't know if I believe in that shit. So I don't know, dude. Archers, I haven't looked at their financials. I know they're working with Palantir, so that's cool, but dude, all these unique big ideas, like it's just, as a public company, it's not interesting to me. If you were an Archer in the private round, God bless you, you probably made a lot of money when they went public. If you're buying Archer when it's public, I don't like it. I don't like any of these startup ideas that go public. They're just too creative for me. It's like, no, I want a regular business that I can analyze. If I was going to bet on this shit, flying electric airplanes, I would have done it when, you know, it was a private company and then there's money to be made. As a public company, they have too many obligations to shareholders that they're probably not going to follow through on because, you know, it's hard as a public company. So I don't know. Never been that excited to me. I know Kathy's bought a ton of that stock though. So Kathy is in that one as well. Again, Kevin Smith, just buy the leap. I don't understand how people, I mean, maybe I'll keep talking about it on the show, but like, I think the spread is so much better than the leap. And I think people buy the leap because they don't want to actually understand how to do a spread. And that's, you're doing yourself a disservice. Buying the leap itself, yes, it can do well, but buying the spread makes it so much easier to not lose money if things go wrong. And capping your profits is not a bad thing if you're capping your profits at a 3, 4, 5x. Like, I don't know how much more you need from a leap, you know? So I don't know. I've just started to get really bearish because I've got burned on leaps before, dude. And it's like, even if you have, you know, time for the thesis to play out, if it's not playing out in the short term, your leap is getting killed. Like, you really need the stock to run even for the leap to do well. Whereas the spread, it has time to be protected because you've sold the call on top of it. A studio right here says, I got F with leaps for PayPal. Yeah, dude, if you did a spread on PayPal versus a leap, like my PayPal spreads are down, but there are people that have leaps on PayPal that are really down, you know? So it's just like the selling the call actually helped on my PayPal spread more than just buying a naked call option because that would get hit. Only in this case, I would say the leaps make sense since it's so cheap and the upside's so great. Most of the time, a regular leap is the best. I don't know, dude. I still disagree. I still disagree. I still think, because the only reason I disagree on this is because Rivian itself is a very interesting company, and like it's going to have volatility in the next few years, right? And in that volatility, you don't want to be screwed on those leaps in the spreads. At least in my opinion, helps protect against that. Also, I don't understand why people think they need unlimited gains. Like, if I'm telling you, you can get into a spread and you get a 5 to 10x, the whole point of getting a call option is so you have leverage to get to those 500, 600, 7% returns. If I'm giving you that and I'm protecting your downside, I literally don't know what's the reason to not do it. Unless you think you're going to get a 15x or a 20x. And it's like, all right, fine, go ahead. Go get a 20, 30x, whatever. But you don't have to be that greedy at the end of the day if you can protect your downside as well. Again, let me make clear, I am not bullish on Rivian. I'm looking at this because it looks like Robinhood at $8, but I have no idea if the thesis on Rivian makes sense. I have no clue. And right now, their cash burn to me is disgusting, and so that's the hardest part about getting into it. But it is something that I'm thinking about a little bit more. Let's get it up and how they raised $6 billion. This was big news over the week. Let's hear what this means for Tesla shareholders as well.
Startup XAI announcing a $6 billion fundraise over the weekend, lifting the valuation, according to Musk, to $24 billion. Joining us right now with more on this and the latest Musk pay package drama is Tim Higgins. He is the Wall Street Journal business columnist. And Tim, what do you think here? Clearly some demand for XAI.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a few months ago, the Wall Street Journal and others were reporting a lot less money was being raised. And so just kind of showing that there's this huge enthusiasm among some investors to be part of that Elon Musk magic, right? The concern, I think, for some out there in the Elon world is if you're a Tesla investor, what does this mean for Elon Musk's kind of AI ambitions, his broader ambitions? You've got XAI, a private company, a separate company.
All right, do his bricks look more real than mine? Be honest, because I think his bricks look fake, and I know what real bricks feel like. So let me know.
You've got Tesla, a publicly traded company, a totally separate company, all under the kind of Elon Musk umbrella.
I guess that would depend on how much of the AI brain power was powering the valuation in Tesla right now.
Absolutely. The broader question I think Tesla investors are kind of grappling with right now is, where is Elon Musk's ambition for AI? For so many years, he was selling Tesla as the idea of this AI company. It was going to usher in autonomous vehicles. It was going to have humanoid robots. And now he's talking about XAI as this huge potential for AI. We see it doing the same kind of things as OpenAI, but where is the AI future that Elon Musk is projecting, is envisioning, and which company is going to benefit from his vision?
It's interesting, Tim. You tie that back to this pay package. Over the weekend, we had Glass Lewis saying that shareholders shouldn't vote to reinstate his pay package that the Delaware court struck down. But you bring up the very wise point that this valuation, XAI story, is more closely tied to that than you might realize. If he doesn't get that pay package, it probably worries Tesla shareholders that he's even more likely to spend less time with Tesla and focus far more on XAI and the other components of the other things he cares about, like SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. The pay package originally was done in 2018, and the board at Tesla was really concerned or really wanting to ensure that they were getting a fully engaged CEO at Tesla, right? That Elon's big game was being brought at this company. And now the question is he fully engaged, right? The board would argue, hey, they had a deal, they should pay out that deal. But some investors are clearly seeing this as a referendum on, hey, is Elon fully engaged at Tesla? Even Elon Musk has suggested that if he doesn't get 25% control of Tesla, he would be worried about doing AI and robotics at the company. And that worries some. Some investors see that as a signal that he's is in some ways suggesting he might take that technology elsewhere or those big ideas elsewhere, and Tesla would lose out on them.
But Tesla without
Elon makes no sense, and I don't think Elon's leaving anywhere, but I do think investors are a bit afraid of what happens if Elon raises enough money and has a potential out and needs to do what he has to do. So Elon had an exchange yesterday with one of the Meta ML AI scientists yesterday. By the way, his bricks are definitely fake. My bricks are way more real than his bricks. But so Yann LeCun, who's the chief AI scientist at Meta, he says, "I'm a scientist, not a business or product person." Okay, then Elon says Yann is just following orders. He's basically saying you're cucked by Zuck, essentially. And then Yann says, "You don't seem to understand how research works." And then Elon says, "What science have you done in the past 5 years?" Kind of like that question he asked of Parag Agrawal, "What have you got done in the past week?" The former head of Twitter. And Yann says, "Over 80 technical papers published since January 2022. What about you?" This is hilarious. And then Elon says, "That's nothing. You're going soft. Try harder." And so this is kind of fun to see Elon, who just raised $6 billion for an AI company, going up against the chief AI scientist at Meta, and him kind of fighting back. And he was like, "You know what? No, I'm not. You don't get this on Threads. You get this on Twitter. You don't get this on Threads." So look, I don't think Elon, at the end of the day, is raising $6 billion for fun. Like, I think he means business. But I also think it's a little way to tell investors, hey, I will leave if you guys don't vote for my compensation package. I don't think he would ever do that. But it is an argument that he could be making and kind of indirectly showing to shareholders, hey, look, I'm good over here. I can leave Tesla. I don't care. I will leave and I'll go do something else if you guys don't really, get your shit together. And so maybe he did it kind of as an intimidation tactic. But regardless, he did it. And now Tesla has, or Elon has, the ability to spend $6 billion on whatever he wants when it comes to the AI super race. Yann is the GOAT. He has an awesome interview with Lex. Yeah, he's definitely a well-respected in the AI science space. I haven't watched that interview, but that's why he's the chief AI scientist at Meta. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. One of the fears I have, Celsius still down 12%, is that if LLMs are a commodity and Grok is not uniquely positioned either via distribution via Twitter or Tesla, or just better than GPT, then Grok might fail. And I don't use Grok at all. You can let me know in the chat if you guys use Grok on Twitter. I never use Grok. It's just not exciting honestly, I haven't been using GPT that much either. I've been using Gemini a little bit more, but I'm kind of thinking of canceling my $20 subscription to GPT because I don't use it enough. And I used Meta AI the other day on WhatsApp. I was just on WhatsApp and I asked it a question and I was like, I think this is good enough. I don't think I need to pay $20 a month to ChatGPT, I think more people around the world are going to come to the conclusion that if the open source version is just good enough, maybe you don't need to actually pay $20, $30 a month. Copilot works for free. Yeah, it's just I'm probably going to cancel it today, dude. Because I've been thinking, do I actually use GPT enough to just $20? That's $240 a year just to ask some fucking AI questions. It's like, dude, there's plenty of AIs that can answer my questions, you know? Enphase still at 128, GameStop at 2190. Now, granted, if you're using it day in, day out at your job or something, yeah, it's worth it. But I'm not really using it that much. Like yesterday, I asked it for like, I wanted to know a couple of facts about a certain ETF. And I was like, hey, tell me about XYZ ETF. That's not worth paying $20 a month for, though. You know? That's just a bit too much. Invest $20 a month in pounds. You're correct. That's £1 per share a month is way better. Okay, what else do we have? AMD is up a little bit. Nvidia falling off just a little, still green for the day, but Nvidia's not up anymore at that 1120 level. That was insane, dude. People were actually paying that much per people keep buying it at all-time highs, and it's just incredible. Like that there's demand ready to go. But I guess people think it's on the split. There's going to be even more of a catalyst, and they want to get in before that. Faraday Future up 2%, Tesla 176, AMC is down now. GameStop is still up on the day, 15%, not giving away too much of their gains. SolarEdge is up 2%, Bitcoin 68,000, CRM is down, Palantir is down, Snowflakes, and all the SaaS names continue to get hit. Palantir now down 0.4%, Robin at $20.40, and then Nvidia here at $1,110. $220, that's a month worth of Starbucks. Yeah, literally, dude. $220 is a month's worth of Starbucks. Okay, Bitcoin. Poyos Bro has a good comment. Let me pull up this chart. I was going to show this. I forgot to show this. So I don't know when the rally is starting on Bitcoin, but I do know that the Bitcoin ETFs are eating up a lot of Bitcoin. So as you can see right here, BlackRock now has 283,000 Bitcoin. Grayscale has 289,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity is 160,000 Bitcoin. Bitwise is 36,000 Bitcoin. ARK has 42,000 Bitcoin. Like these ETFs are eating up close to 3,000 Bitcoin a day, and the miners are only producing 450. So if you could just get enough buyers to continue putting in the inflows without a ton of people liquidating at the same time, there will be a supply shock. Like that thesis to me makes so much sense, and it's likely going to happen. But no one knows when. Historically, about 12 months after the halving, Bitcoin tends to double. And so maybe it doesn't double by the end of the year, but seeing it go to 80, 85,000, 90,000 is not insane if this keeps up. The ETFs have to keep eating up the amount of ETFs the amount of Bitcoin they're eating. But I mean, who would have thought BlackRock would have 283,000 Bitcoin in January? It's just insane. Selling pressure cannot last forever. I agree. And if the ETFs continue to get inflows, IBIT today is down a little bit, 1.63%. It's just going to be hard to imagine that Bitcoin does not end up doing what it needs to do, which is have a phenomenal run. And the fact that, I mean, I joke around that Bitcoin, stuck at 68,000. The fact that it's maintained 60K for basically 3 months now and is not really dipped into the 50s and 40s. Most people thought this thing would be, having a 50% crash by now. It's really damn incredible. And it means that there are enough people willing to give it a bid at these high 60s. You just need people not willing to give it a sell once it gets into the low 70s. IBIT's about to flip GBTC 1,000%. That's going to happen. I mean, GBTC cannot continue with the selling pressure with IBT having the buying pressure. I think it's going to end up happening. MicroStrategy as well. MicroStrategy was close to $1,000 3 weeks ago. Now it's at 1,670. So there have been many opportunities with the volatility to buy into the dip and gain some momentum. But Bitcoin's just got to hold on. And if it holds on, I think it's going to be an exciting summer. 68,123 right now on Bitcoin. So that's what we got on Bitcoin. What else happened over the week? So we had Nvidia at 1,100. We saw that happen. Nvidia still holding above 1,100. We talked about George Soros. We talked about Elon. Oh, this thing I found this old tweet and I put it up again. It just made me mad when I saw this. Ross Gerber, I will be voting no to everything on the Tesla proxy. No friends and family on the BOD. No obscene pay package after destroying $600 billion of Tesla value. I was just like, dude, I still can't believe this guy literally built his career off Tesla. And he has the nerve, the audacity to be like, nope, Elon's not getting paid. It's just crazy, dude. I don't think the Elon thing it's taken down. I think we're going to see momentum with, I think he's going to get the vote done and it's going to happen. But it's just crazy that there is a small shot that he loses. And if he does, it's going to be crazy. No thoughts on Unity. I don't really know that much about Unity, dude. I know Vitaly's big in it, and I'm trying to learn more about it. Unity is beaten up right now, so maybe it's a candidate for options potentially, given it's down like 60% year to date. The problem with Unity has been their management. I don't think it's really a problem with their company. Stock-based compensation is not the best. Revenue guidance was not the best, but the CEO and the management had such a bad shakeup that that's what's really hurting people. And the stock right now down another 0.08% of the day. I don't know. I gotta do a deep dive into like what Unity's moat is. And I definitely think there's a moat in the gaming space. I just don't know if the valuation is even exciting, dude. I mean, like the market wanted them to do 2.7 billion in revenue. They're doing 1.8. So they missed by 500 million in Q4 on the guidance. And like, that's a big miss, dude. That's not a small miss. So for me, it's more of a question about like, what exactly does Unity have to offer? Admit you could charge your fans to get their name engraved on one of your bricks. You would just need to buy a chisel and great ROI right there. Well, no, I wouldn't do that because these bricks they're the type of bricks where you can't really chisel into them. As you can see, I tried to chisel right there and we had an issue. So although I think there would be high demand for that product offering, I don't want to chisel into the bricks because I don't think the types of bricks I have allow for chiseling, you know? It's one of those things where I want to keep the bricks pure from the chiseling. It's a good idea though. It's a good idea. I just I wouldn't want to mess up these bricks yet with that. I'm still trying to find this Celsius news, dude. I'm still trying to see where is this mixed shelf offering? Brick chiseling NFTs. Oh my goodness gracious. So Celsius, no one posted the shelf offering yet. It makes me wonder, was there a shelf offering or no? Because you would think the SEC filing is out by now, but it's not there. That's so weird, dude. That's so weird. I'm sure it happened, but it's not. Yeah, it's still not out. All right, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see if it's actually there. MSN and Seeking Alpha have articles. Okay, let me see. Seeking Alpha, Celsius. Let's see. Yup. There. Hold on. It's Celsius. Dude, they have nothing about their argument is different. Look at what Seeking Alpha is saying. They have a different. Oh, the Trump crypto thing. We have to talk about that. I forgot about that one. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so Seeking Alpha is saying it has to do with Nielsen ratings. What? What is this? Celsius slumped in early trading on Tuesday as analysts digested some of the latest Nielsen retail store trends. Morgan Stanley analyst noted that Celsius sales growth slowed sequentially to 39% pace for a one-week period that ended on May 18th, and its market share dipped 10%. Dude, this is so granular. So you know how like research firms and hedge funds, they track every little piece of data, credit card data, transaction data, anything they can track to figure out if a company is like keeping up with its momentum. That's how it creates their earnings projections. They're not even talking about the shelf offering, which I don't even know if it's a thing yet because I didn't see it. They're talking about week over week sales are down 10% based on Nielsen ratings, which is why Celsius is down 10% in their stock. And Morgan Stanley apparently put out a note about that today. Dude, that's insanity, bro. That's insanity. That's kind of crazy. That's absolutely insane. That's so weird. That's so weird. They don't have anything about the shelf offering yet. Yeah, I see literally nothing in the shelf offering. Wow, that's interesting. I mean, look, with Celsius, given the valuation they have, if that growth slows down, this thing's headed down, right? So I would imagine some of the larger shareholders, they really, really, really care about Celsius not messing this up. And in order to do that, that's important. Looks like, okay, so we got another we got another buy by Noto as well. We got another buy by Noto. Looks like SoFi, Anthony Noto bought another 28,000 shares on Friday, apparently, just reported right now. Bought another 28,000 shares at $6.92. All right, he's getting another $200,000 in shares. Noto keeps buying. So at least nice to see that Noto thinks that the company continues to be undervalued. Okay, so here's the Trump news on crypto. So Trump over the weekend had a large rally, And this is what he said about crypto.
That the future of crypto, I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will also ensure that.
So Trump's buying votes. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Now, this is what he said in 2019. I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior. Similarly, Facebook's Libra virtual currency will have little standing or dependability. We only have one currency in the USA, and that's the United States dollar. So in 2019, Trump was not a fan of crypto. Obviously, things have changed in the past 4 years. You can't blame him. He's a politician. You have to do marketing. Joe Biden did not want to cancel everyone's student loans 10 years ago. And, then the election comes around. He realizes he can get a lot of people to vote for him if he promises $10,000 per borrower. That never ended up happening. Biden probably knew it was unconstitutional. There was no way he was going to be able to get that passed. He tried to get it passed. Supreme Court shot it down. So he bought votes. I think Trump is doing the exact same thing right now, buying votes. However, it begs the question. If Trump gets elected and he actually does, care about crypto, which I don't think he does, but let's just say he does and he's friendly towards it and he doesn't, he and it's not just Trump, right? The Democrat, all of them are starting to realize, all right, crypto's inevitable. We can't we can't keep fighting it. Maybe that's a catalyst for Bitcoin. And I think for single issue voters, people that really care, wow, my Rivian spread is up 100%. Amazing. That's how volatile it is, dude. It's 3 years into the future. It's like so volatile. If you only care about Bitcoin, you're voting Trump. You're voting Trump, dude. You're voting. So it's like there's definitely people that are absolutely against Trump, 100%. But there's also people that care about their crypto and they don't really care about anything else that Trump has to offer. And if they care about Bitcoin, right now, Bitcoin right at 68,000. They're going to vote Trump. I mean, like they have no incentive to vote for Biden, and they have every incentive to protect their wealth. And from a regulatory perspective, if the government is more accepting of crypto, that's only going to be a catalyst for Bitcoin. It's definitely not, a headwind towards it. So I could see Trump buying up a lot of votes now. The question is Biden going to counteract that? And is Biden going to be like, hey, I'm a crypto-friendly president as well? And maybe if he does, then if you're leaning towards Biden anyway, and he checks the crypto box, you vote Biden. But it's one of those things that we're going to see a lot of people fighting against each other. Democrats, Republicans, municipalities, towns, senators, all these people over who's more crypto friendly if the majority of the US public, and there's a lot of Pew Research poll data showing that people want crypto. And so we're going to see. We're going to see. Chris says, not true. You can love Bitcoin and vote for Biden. There are many incentives. Yeah, but I don't think you can vote for Biden if let's just say Biden doesn't come out with a crypto agenda, right? Let's just assume that's the case. I think he will, but let's just say that's the case. And let's say you're a Bitcoin maxi, but you hate Trump. I think you still vote Trump because at the end of the day, if you're a Bitcoin, and I'm not saying this out of my ass, I saw a lot of Bitcoin maximalists on Twitter yesterday when this thing broke loose, and they were like, "I'm voting for Trump. That's it. That's it. I have nothing else to worry about other than I'm voting for Trump." If you are a Bitcoin maximalist and you don't think Biden's going to be friendly, and your net worth or a majority of your net worth is in fucking Bitcoin, dude, you're voting Trump. Like there's just no, like you are going to vote your interest. And so I think if you've got a far majority of your money in Bitcoin, you're probably voting Trump. If you like Bitcoin, but you hate Trump and you don't have that much money in it, you're probably not going to vote Trump. But I think Trump's going after, just like he did in 2016, the evangelical Christians, right? He said he would have a hardline stance on abortion, and he kept a hardline stance, and he got the evangelical vote. I think it's the same thing with Bitcoin. So we're going to see if you're a single policy voter who's a crypto max, you're voting Trump. Yeah, I think. And the question is, how many of those people exist in America? We have 350 million people. I think 180 million can vote, right? Or no, not even 100. Maybe 150 million can vote. No, more. It's got to be more than 150. It's probably, let's call it 200 million out of the 350 can vote. How many of those people legitimately only care about Bitcoin? I would guess out of the 200 million, dude, I would guess maybe 5 million people only care about, it would have to be a small minority, But in like Minnesota or Michigan or Florida, if that minority ends up being the deciding vote, you never know. To be honest, the majority of people in America probably don't care about crypto at all. I agree. The majority of people don't give a shit. But the small percentage that do, I mean, like Silicon Valley, like imagine you're a Silicon Valley VC, right? And in Silicon Valley, you're supposed to hate Trump because of just, you're not supposed to be Republican. But let's say you've got a majority of your money invested in crypto stocks or crypto startups, right? And those crypto startups need federal regulation to be able for you to return money to your limited partners. Like, who are you voting for, bro? Who are you? I mean, that's an interesting question. And you're probably in California at that point, right? So it's just really interesting to see how this thing is going to play out. And obviously, Trump and Biden, they're going to be fighting for votes from every single angle. And it might just end up happening in the crypto space. I guess we'll see how this plays out, but that's what Trump did over the weekend. All right, let's take one last look at stocks, and then we'll do word of the day, and I'll get you guys out of here. Back in the market open. Happy to be in the swing of things. We'll be back for the market close. It felt empty yesterday, not doing it. We are back. I feel a little rusty today, to be honest. I feel a little like you don't do it one day, and it's like feel a little rusty. It's like you gotta kind of get back into the swing of things. So happy to get back in the swings. GameStop up 15%. Palantir trying to get back at $21. Nvidia $11.15. Robin at $20.31. Rivian up 1.29%. SoFi $6.94. S&P 529. Enphase 129. Still holding that 129 range on Enphase. Absolutely incredible. SMH up 1.37%. SolarEdge up 1.63%. First Solar down just a little bit, but they had a good run last week. Faraday Future up 2%. Alibaba's down 1.17%. AMC's down 1.12%. And then Tesla is down 1.94. I think the big story of the day is Celsius. It looks like the shelf offering is real. I'm going to read up on it in a second and probably put some tweets out about it in the next 30 minutes. But Celsius down 13% on the day on the shelf offering and Nielsen ratings on same store sales being down week over week. And so the market's struggling a little bit, justifying continuing to own Celsius stock. All right, there you go. Chris says, wow, thanks. I'm an independent voter. Just saying there are arguments on both sides. I thought this was a finance channel. This is why it's so hard to talk about politics. I think I presented a pretty neutral argument on why people would vote for Trump and vote for Biden, and still people take it personally. Dude, it's so difficult to talk politics. Like, I even tweeted about this. I was like, oh, Trump says he's a crypto president. People are like, how are you a Trump supporter? But I'm like, is me tweeting that Trump says he's a crypto president somehow political? Like, I just don't get it. I just, so it's like, yes, this is a finance channel. We have to cover both sides. It's an election cycle. We're going to cover both sides. I'm not going to disclose my political opinions. I don't care about imposing my political opinions. But at the end of the day, if Trump votes for crypto, you got to talk about that. If Biden talks about student loans, you got to talk about that. Like, it is what it is. It's how we have to interact with the world of politics at the end of the day. There's politics in everything. Yeah, 100%. There's politics in absolutely everything. Politics do ruin everything. That's 100%. But we definitely have to cover politics because there's no way we get out of it, dude. There's just no way we get out of it. Chris says, I was talking to someone who called me a Sleeping Joe follower. Dude, it's so insane, dude. It's just people are going to throw ad homs, everything. It's wild, dude. But it's like you have to cover politics when you talk about finance. There's no way you avoid it. But yeah, I mean, look, my advice to anyone who does ad homs or stuff like that is you just got to ignore it, because at the end of the day, it's like people are going to talk their shit when it comes to politics. So you're saying you're a Trump supporter? F you, Amit. It's hard, dude. It's hard to. I will not disclose my political affiliation. Honestly, I don't care that much about it. I care about how it impacts the stock market. I don't care that much about politics in general, dude. I've said this many times. I don't give a shit about politics. And I can't imagine building a brand off politics because it's such a narcissistic thing to like impose your political views on the world. I don't care. I care about making money and I care about analyzing the stock market. Politics plays a role in that, but it's not enough to like be so, yes, Trump, yes, Biden. It's like, no, I don't care. I just care about how their policies implicate everything else. Same as sports. It gets people mental. Yeah. And the worst thing about sports and politics is that it does nothing for your life. Like, you could care about the Celtics and that's great, but like no one cares. You're not making any money. And if you're making money with DraftKings, they're taxing you now. But you can care about Joe Biden, Trump, and it doesn't really matter. If you care about the stock market, it actually implicates your life, That's what actually matters. Okay, word of the day. Let's do word of the day. Word of the day is repine.
Repine.
To be fretfully discontented, fret or complain. Okay, that's an interesting one. The disgruntled customers seem to always repine about the service at the restaurant. It's hard to be around people who constantly repine without taking any action to improve their situation. I guess you would say people that are stuck in a mindset of not wanting to move forward, lack of a growth mindset, are people that repine. And honestly, I was thinking about this on Memorial Day yesterday. It's like, dude, like Memorial Day reminds you that like you've got to go do something with your life, because so many people die just for you to have the freedoms, at least if you're in the United States, that you can't repine. You can't just complain all the time. You got to really go and try and do something. And I'm realizing a lot of people that I grew up with in high school, they choose to complain more than anything. Dude, the craziest thing I saw over the weekend, on Instagram, one of the friends from high school, she does this video talking to the camera, and she's like, I cannot believe it's finally a word for my girlfriend. Oh my God, it's hilarious. I cannot believe that we're all on Instagram, like living our daily lives, and then people across the world are being killed in a war, right? So she's talking about Israel and Gaza. And I'm like, okay, interesting that you choose to post about this on Instagram, and literally I don't know what the fuck you're doing about this situation, but like that was the first story, okay? One story later, on Instagram, you press the screen and then it goes to the next story. The next story. The next story. Oh my God, Love is Blind season 5 is so funny. And I like lose my shit, dude. I almost threw my phone. I was just like, I cannot believe we are getting to the point in society where you can talk to the camera and complain about how there's so much war and problems going on across the world, and basically like blaming people for like living their regular life in the Western part of the world, right? That's what the intent of the video that she made was trying to do. And then in the next slide of her Instagram story, she's watching TV. And so she's harping about how it's so bad to live a normal life and not care about all the trauma and death that's going on in the other parts of the world, which, by the way, I philosophically agree with. Like, yeah, that sucks that so much bad shit is happening and we're going around acting like nothing's wrong. I'm just humble enough to admit, if we're not going to do anything about that, then why try to be narcissistic and impose this like feeling of guilt, essentially virtue signaling, into all your Instagram followers that they should feel bad that they're living their regular life when there's so much stuff going on halfway across the world, when the very next 5 minutes later, you're watching Love is Blind, doing nothing about the problems that are happening across the world. Intense political rant, first story, second story, poolside with the corona. Yeah, dude, it's just like, it's insane. Like, I don't know if it's like, it is just insane growing up, getting older, entering into my late 20s and realizing like I could never post something like that ever. I could never be happy with saying like, oh, I would never like want, this is why I don't like imposing political beliefs. I can never tell you to believe in abortion or not believe in abortion, and then me go live my own life when you have your own subjective way of understanding how the world operates, right? And that's what I think political personalities try to do. They try to force you to believe a certain way, when in reality, it's so nuanced that you're never going to be able to do that. Whereas the stock market is nuanced, but at the end of the day, stocks go up and down, right? So there's like some objectivity where there's like free cash flow we can look at when we're analyzing stuff, which makes it make more sense. In this era, it's like people are finding the way they can make other people feel bad for not caring about problems, and then simultaneously be a hypocrite, and they feel good because they talked about other people not caring. It's like people, complaining about the Ukraine war, but all they are doing is putting out a Ukrainian flag. It is just insane to me that like that's happening. Sunday says it's just attention seeking without actually contributing to solving the problem. Yes. And it's like, did you feel better about yourself that you Instagram to your 300 followers that like, these are also people with no influence. That's the worst part. You have no influence, dude. You're not some celebrity that has thousands and thousands of followers. You have the same people that are watching your story from high school are the same people that are following you today, 10 years later. And you're telling those people that you used to eat lunch with how to politically think about the world and critiquing what they're doing. And then at the same time, you're not doing shit about changing. You're not going to Gaza. You're not fucking signing up to be in the military. You're not solving. You're not going to Congress and trying to pass a new law. You're doing nothing. You're living your corporate life. And so it's tough, dude. It's really, really tough to see kind of how people are thinking about that. Amid, don't you think people would just want to speak up Yeah, but again, I think if you speak up, if you speak up, you have an obligation to then back up what you're saying. It's not enough to speak up and just for the hell of it and speaking up. Or at least that's how I'm thinking about it as you get older. Speaking up is idiotic at this point. If you're not going to actually say something, why are you shitting on your classmates for actually having a heart? Because they don't have a heart. That's the point. They don't have a heart. There is no heart. It's actually the opposite of having a heart. It's actually narcissism. This is what Karp's argument has been as well. It's like you guys want to protest and act as if you're doing something good by making your 30-second Instagram story and then do nothing that actually solves those problems. You don't have a heart at that point. You have a personality that makes you feel you are better than everyone else by virtue signaling. And then at the same time, you can live your life and feel that you have absolved yourself of all the guilt you should be feeling about living in the West and having access to democracy and all this shit, because you talked about it for 30 seconds on Instagram. That is not having a heart. I think that's the worst of the worst, dude. And then for Friedrich Nietzsche, if you guys have ever studied his philosophy, he talks about this. I think he calls it slave morality. It's the idea that there is morality in being victimized. And so in a nutshell, he's talking about victim mentality and then feeling that you're better than other people because you have the victim mentality or because you have deemed yourself to be a victim. It's not the right way to go about this, dude. It's just not. And like the older I get, I'm like, this is insanity, bro. Like, this is insane that people legitimately feel they can watch Love is Blind after complaining about Israel and Gaza, do nothing about Israel and Gaza, engage in no nuance. I mean, for goodness sakes, make at least a 5-minute video on your thoughts, not a 30-second little teaser, and then go to watch Love is Blind. No way, dude. It's absolute insanity. It's absolute insanity. And I think the majority of people that are in finance, like a lot of people in the chat, you also agree with this as well. But I think that we're different. We're in finance. We think about the stock market. We think about the world. We try to have some objective perspectives. People that I knew in college that don't care about the stock market, they just see a headline. They think Israel's the enemy or they think Gaza's the enemy, right? It goes both ways. And then they come up with a thesis and then they do nothing to back up their thesis. Then they go back to their corporate communications job on Monday. I don't know, man. I don't know. She just wants to appear a certain way to make people think that she's intelligent enough to care about that stuff. Yes, I agree. What else are they supposed to do? What did Americans do during Vietnam? Look, my point is, if you're going to actually make a statement, back it up. Go to an actual protest. Go post a screenshot of you donating $1,000 to some of these. Like, go do something real versus just talk about it. Or get more educated on the situation and figure out if there's something that deserves to be protested. Like, I offer the nuance that is required to build and to care about this stuff versus just saying, oh my God, this is so horrible. It's like, that's worse, dude. I'd rather say nothing. I'd rather absolutely say nothing. Someone says, keep talking because Palantir is going up. Where's Palantir? Where's Palantir? Should I keep talking? Oh, we're at 2104, baby. I turned Palantir green. I turned it fucking green. Looks like I got to keep talking. No, but my point is, it's just insane, dude. It's just insane that it's playing out like that. I don't know. The older I get, I don't like it. That's why you never see me tweet anything political, dude. And the reason I don't want to tweet anything political is because who am I to put my political belief out into the world and then impose that? I just don't believe in it. I'll tweet about what Trump and Biden talk about because that's just news. But my own political affiliation makes very little sense to impose on people. Now, I'll talk about hypocrisy. I'll call out things like I'm talking about with my friend over the weekend. But I'm not going to put myself out there politically because then I have to defend myself politically, and I don't care enough about doing that. And a lot of people don't care about doing that either. Like that girl over the weekend, she doesn't give a shit about defending those political beliefs. If she was challenged on that, she wouldn't care about defending it. But it feels good for the moment of her putting it out there, and that's a very cynical level of dopamine that she gets. It's actually, if you guys study, what's the philosopher? Baudrillard, John Baudrillard. He's a French philosopher. If you study his work, it's or Berlant, who's another philosopher. There's incredible literature from 1995, basically talking about how you're using the pain of other people across the world as a way to make you feel good by talking about their pain, not doing anything to solve their pain, because that pain, which means you need them to continuously go through pain so you have something to talk about, it gives you the sensational aptitude and appetite to continue feeling as if you're an activist doing something sophisticated on this planet, when in reality, you're not doing shit, right? So he's gone full Plato's Republic. Yeah, there's a lot of philosophy that dives into this stuff because I debated a lot about this stuff back in 2015, but I was on the opposite side. I was on the side that said, actually, no, it's like good to do virtue signaling and all this stuff. And then 10 years later, I'm like, wait a second, all that shit was bullshit. And this is why. None of it makes a difference in the world. And so that stuff actually matters. Sounds like the media, 100%. It's absolutely like what the media does. Founders at 2108, keep going. Oh my God. Oh my God. Amidst political beliefs are spreads. Yes, that needs to be my new bio on Twitter or something. My political beliefs are spreads. Dude, all right, if I end the stream and all this started because of this word repine, dude. All this started because the word says repine, which is to complain. That started this whole story. That's kind of insane that I can take that word and I can ramble for 20 minutes. That's kind of insane, dude. I'm not even patting myself on the back here. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of crazy where my mind goes. This is why I can, I was talking to a friend the other day. See, I get into another fucking story. I was talking to a friend and he was like, so how do you just talk for 2 hours? I was like, yeah. He's like, don't you get tired? I was like, dude, I don't even notice the time go by. He's like, I was just like, yeah, we do 2 hours in the morning or an hour, 30 minutes. He's like, but like, that's a long time to talk. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but like, I just keep talking. And he was just like, how do you do it? I'm like, I just like find stuff to talk about. It's like shit just keeps popping into my head. Like this fucking story over the weekend on Instagram, I guess. We just keep talking and we keep going. 2110. Oh my God. 2111. Dude, I don't want to end the stream and then this stupid stock falls down the drain. If I end and it goes to $20.98, it would be literally the most epic thing because I would finally realize I have powers. I have real powers. Once that bell rings, Amit blacks out. Dude, literally, you go into another world when the fucking bell rings. It's time. It's time to keep talking. I have to say, Amit, I missed these market open streams over the long weekend. I missed them too, bro. I missed them too. It is at this point a part of my identity. I'm gonna have to miss. So next week I'm going to California. So I'm going for some things I cannot tell you guys for yet. But okay, let's just say because we got so far into the stream, I can say this now because the people that are here deserve to hear this. I'm going to California next week, and some crazy shit's about to happen, bro. Some crazy shit's about to happen. I'm not going to say what's going to happen, but you guys are not going to fucking believe what's happening in California. Like this year has been good so far, 5 months of the year. I think we've had some momentum. The thing that's going to happen in California, you guys have no clue what's going to happen. And it's going to be, I think, the icing on the cake. Is that you said the saying? The cherry on the top of the sundae? Whatever the fuck the saying. It's going to be a really good cap to the first 6 months of the year. And it's going to be super dope. I'm not interviewing anybody. Dude, it's not even, I promise it's not an interview. It's cooler than an interview. And you guys are not even going to fucking believe it's happening. Because when I was offered the opportunity, did not even believe it was happening, dude. Literally. Amit loses his virginity. Yes, maybe we'll lose my virginity for one day. But like literally, I got the opportunity 2 weeks ago. They reached out to me. They said, hey, do you want to do this? I looked at them in the face. I was like, are you guys sure? They were like, yup. I was like, for real? They were like, yup, we want you to do this. And I was like, yes, I'm going to fucking take this opportunity. And now it's happening. So you have a sit down with Vivek Ramaswamy. Dude, I would love that. I would ask why the fuck did he buy 7% of BuzzFeed? Because that's so surprising to me. No, it's not a sit down. It's not an interview. I promise it's not an interview. I promise it's not an interview. Like, I don't know. Who do you want me to swear to? I swear it's not an interview at all. You're starting a business. No, it's not a business. Meeting Courtney. I would love, dude, if I could run into Courtney in California, oh my God, that would be amazing. But it's probably not meeting Courtney. Amit's going on a date. It's not. So, dude, I wouldn't hype up going on a date, bro. It's like you guys think so little of me, but no, it's a real big opportunity. It's not the Figure AI factory. It has nothing to do with Figure. It's a crazy opportunity. It doesn't have to do anything with Robinhood. It's not a Palantir tattoo. It's not SoFi. You guys would not be able to guess it, dude. Now I can't say anything about it because I want to leave it until like the day it happens is the day you guys will know about it, or maybe a day before. If you follow me on Twitter, maybe a day before. But the point is, I'm gonna miss the market open for at least 2 days next week, Monday and Tuesday, because of going to California, and then Wednesday, Thursday, I think, and then Friday I'm gonna miss it again because I'm probably gonna be on a flight coming back. But it's gonna be crazy, dude. It's gonna be fucking wild. It's not a TED Talk, dude. Could you imagine? Why? TED Talk. TBC. Is my stream frozen? Hold on, is it frozen right now? Let me see on my side. Is it frozen? Yeah, it's frozen. Oh no, you guys hear the audio. But okay, we're back. Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It'll be cool. I hate teasing it. I don't want to keep you guys out of the loop, but I can't say anything yet. But it's gonna be fucking cool, dude. It's gonna be a really cool thing. And so yeah, is Palantir still going up? All right, 21.13. Not bad. It should be back now, right? It should be back. Let me close out the tabs. Let me close out all these tabs. Is Celsius still in the gutter, bro? Celsius still stuck? Celsius. Wow, still down 14%. Wild. Okay, cool. Audio should be back to normal, right? Okay, yes, we're good. All right. So that's pretty much it. But yes, it's gonna be fun. We'll be in Cali, and yeah, it'll be pretty cool. If anyone's in Cali, let me know. I don't know if we'll have any free time, but if you're nearby wherever I'm at, we can get coffee or anything like that. Meeting the new Juliet? No, it's not meeting the new Juliet. It's one of those things, dude, where like no one's gonna expect it. I still can't believe I got the opportunity, dude. I can't believe I got it. But it makes sense why I got it. Now it's just a question of me executing on the opportunity. And we'll fucking see, dude. We'll fucking see if we can make it go well. It'll be fun. It'll be super fun. It's not CNBC, dude. It's not like anything you like. No one would be able to guess this. That's how crazy it is, dude. It's not Kathy Wood. It's not Karp. It's literally no one would be able to guess how crazy this is, because I couldn't fucking guess that they wanted me to do this. But I keep saying they because I can't say who's they, but it's going to be fun. It'll be cool. Which part of Cali? So I actually don't fully know yet. That's also up in the air. I will let you guys know once I get there, because it might be between two spaces. So that's part of this mystery, I guess. But I'll let you guys know next week once I'm actually there. All right, cool. Neuralink implant, dude. I mean, if Elon wanted to stick a chip in me, I don't know, dude. I probably would say no, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, it's not the worst idea. That'd be kind of fun. Who knows? We'll see. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for being here. I'll be here for the market close, 3:45 p.m. We'll keep going from there. Thank you all for joining again today. You're going to help Karp with his book launch. When is that book launch happening, dude? That's definitely not happening. I'm not helping him with his book launch, but I'm sure. I was thinking about that the other day, Leslie. I was like, didn't Karp say he was putting out a book? Hopefully it's out soon, because that would be great content. But yeah, hopefully that's coming out. Hopefully that's coming out soon. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys at 3:45. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.